was MIA most of the day, getting sunburn, getting chlorine in my eyes. My joints is bumping, man. It's fog all around my joints. I even put eye drops. Yo, you know, gotta engage in the summer festivities. More the machine, what it do? You know, lots to discuss. Well, I seen after the fight, after the Adames versus Williams fight. Didn't get to talk about it on the live country. What it do? JBN, what it do? Abner, what it do? That Breadman, Williams's trainer. You know, he kind of lost it. Like he flipped out. They didn't like the stoppage. You know, in case you're not aware, they didn't like the stoppage. Gary, what it do? Martin, what it do? D, what it do? And I actually thought the stoppage was good. It did seem a little bit premature. It did could Julian Williams have gone on? Would he have survived the round? Perhaps, but also it didn't look like nothing was about to change. You know, he's cut, he's getting hit. You've already been on the receiving end of a lot of punches, a lot of combinations. So I understood why the ref looking at that like, all right, it's time to stop this because you're not turning this around. Was it a little premature? Yeah, it did feel like you could have let him. You could have waited to see if he could fight his way out of that, and then depending on what happened, then you jump in. But you know, better too early than too late. That's what they say. Sport of boxing, you can't see a brain injury. You know, in the sport of boxing, you can't see a brain bleed. If you a referee, you got to make decisions. It's not like it was like the Tony Weeks joint, you know what I mean? In Romero versus Barroso fight. I mean, it wasn't like that at all. Like Julian was getting hit. He was cut. He was getting hit, and he was getting hit a lot. You know, I think it was in the fourth round that Adames was really busting him up. He was really hitting him with a lot of hard shots. And it just looked like it was repeating itself. Like, bro, he not, Williams, God bless him. He not about to turn this around. So we got to stop this thing. Shout out to my man. Shout out to my man. With all these Showtime stoppages, you think if Spence hurts Crawford just once, he might pull something like the Rolly fight? Unfortunately, I do. I feel like they will do whatever they can in that situation for more reasons than one, And that's why I stress that Terrence has to knock this guy out. Like, he has to. You can't trust the judges. You really can't trust the referee. He has to stop this guy. And that they're willing to do this in front of people. Look, you saw what happened in the Romero versus Barroso fight. That's a fight that got stopped because of punches that wasn't landing. Anybody could go back and look at that. Rolly is throwing and nothing is landing. Barroso is slipping, rolling, and riding punches. And for some reason, Tony Weeks decides, all right, I got to stop this fight. Why? This kid is not even landing. What are you doing? And ain't nobody dumb out here. I said it before the fight. That whole fight and that whole situation was about putting a belt in Rolly's hands, and they were going to do that by any means necessary. It's very obvious. So that, in tandem with Canelo crossing over to that side of the street, they want to make Spence versus Canelo like at 164 or 165. They want to do that. They tried it before. He didn't go for it before. But now that he's over there, it's something that they want to do. It is. In Texas, at Jerry's house, for the bread, for the bag. So there's a lot of emphasis that, Crawford, he has to stop him. Like, honestly, he has to stop him. He can't win a decision. He got to knock him out. The silver lining is that's always been my prediction. It's always been my prediction. Crawford by knockout off a counter shot. It'll probably take him 2 to 3 rounds to get his timing and his distance down. But It'll probably be a counter to Errol's jab. He has a very prevalent jab, judicious jab. He shoots it a lot. You know, he sets everything is off the jab, which isn't bad, by the way. You know, that shows that Errol is a fundamentally sound fighter. But his jab isn't that impressive. I remember when he fought Kell Brook, he was actually losing the battle of the jabs with Kell Brook in the first couple of rounds. Brook was really touching him with his orthodox jab, which I thought was strange because usually the southpaw's jab comes over the top of the orthodox fighter's jab. You know, Errol's not a bad fighter. I just think Crawford's gonna knock him out. I think he's a bad fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter either, though. I don't think he's a great fighter. Virtuoso, what it do? Avo, what it do? You know, I don't think he's a great fighter. I certainly don't. I'm not given to the hyperbole that surrounds him, that they acting like he did, like what he do, bro, because he beat Ugas? Is that why you bugging out? Because he beat Ugas? Oh, because he beat Danny, because Danny was taking everything by storm at 147. What, because he beat Mikey, who jumped up 2 divisions for that fight? Is that why y'all high on him? Because he fought a lightweight at 147 and couldn't stop him? He wanted to outbox him. No, you silly fuck. No. He said it himself. He tried to stop him 2 times, and he couldn't do it. I mean, if Brook, at the height of Gennady Golovkin's popularity, if Brook would have won 12 rounds with Golovkin, or if Amir Khan would have won 12 rounds with Canelo, you think these guys would be saying, nah, they wanted to outbox them? No, they would be criticizing them. They would be saying, damn, dog, you couldn't stop a guy that came up 2 divisions to fight you? Now, as it stands, it was a trend, you know, at that time. Guillermo Rigondeaux came up 2 divisions for Loma. Kell Brook came up 2 divisions for Golovkin. Khan came up 2 divisions for Canelo. And the trend was that all those guys, they got the stoppage or they made the guy quit. You know, Loma, he made Rigo quit. That's what you expect. That's what you expect, and that's what's supposed to happen. Errol, the only one that you got a low-ass man. His last fight, he was fighting Robert Easter at 135, unification match. And right after that, where he went? He went to 147. And you couldn't stop him. That's not a good look. They've been trying to spin that for years to be a good look. And no, that's not a good look. It's not. It really isn't. You have every advantage over this fighter. Every advantage. You can't stop a dude that came up 2 divisions to fight you. Wow. That's crazy. Shout out to Virtuoso. Shout out to AJJJJ, Mr. Yagami. Earlier today, I was on Twitter before I went swimming to stretch my muscles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm schooling this guy on Twitter who insists that Canelo Alvarez's marquee value is declining. And I'm like, if that's what you believe, if you believe that Canelo's marquee value is declining, right? That either makes Al Heyman a moron for guaranteeing him $100 million, or that makes you a moron for believing that. Whichever you choose to believe is up to you. I'll let you make that decision. But you don't guarantee over $100 million to a fighter with declining marquee value. That is literally a bigger guarantee than any guarantee for 3 fights that any PBC fighter has. He didn't guarantee Wilder that much money. Don't guarantee Gervonta Davis that much money. Or Errol. But you telling me that Canelo's marquee value is declining? Oh, is that why Al is guaranteeing him more money than he guarantees his own fighters? These dudes don't really realize how stupid they sound. Or maybe they do, and that's why they don't join spaces when I do spaces. And they don't really come here either. You know that if you had to say that, you telling me, yo, this dude, he not selling. Where he not selling? Then why did Al just guarantee him more money than all his other fighters? Is that what you do to a fighter that is not selling? You give him more money than you give your own fighters? These dudes are stupid as fuck, man. I can't. It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. Crawford KO'd wannabe gangster Benavidez. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know what I mean? It's childishness. It's pure childishness. But that's what I notice about that side of boxing Twitter. It's just a lot of childish shit. It's shit that kids would do, like talking to be talking, arguing to be arguing. You still got motherfuckers that can't accept. The only reason he over there is to fight the fighters that y'all claim he ducking. You still got guys that's trying to spin it. They still trying to spin it. Because for 2 years, they was happy saying, yeah, he ducking this and he ducking that. And as soon as he go over there, that kills that shit. Kills that shit. I want y'all to understand something. I hate y'all. All of y'all. I can't wait for all them PBC hype jobs to bite the bullet. I can't wait. I love it. Cause you could tell what the mindset is. You the type that'll talk shit till the chickens come home to roost. That's how you get down. Talking shit, hyping up Chalo, hyping up Benavidez, hyping up Andre and shit. You the type to talk shit until. Yeah, man. Y'all ain't think he was gonna go over there for some reason. Y'all didn't think that. Y'all didn't think that none of those fights will materialize. And you got comfortable talking shit, and now you nervous. Now you gotta hang on to whatever narrative is still around because the one you was propping up is dead. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it. And I said it in my video that what it reminds me of, you know what it reminds me of? Y'all remember when Manny Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn? How everybody was like, yo, he look old. He's in decline. He should retire. He's on the back nine. Y'all remember that? I think that was what, 2017, circa 2016, 2017. You know, he has the Horn fight and he looks human. He looks old. Looks old. And then, you know, he fights Lucas Matisse. He had a little fight with Lucas Matisse, retired Lucas. But then he goes to the PBC. He goes to the PBC. And the minute he gets over there and he start fighting they fighters, he look young again. He look like old Manny Pacquiao. He's styling on Broner. He's knocking down Keith Thurman. And you want to know why that is? It's not because he found the fountain of youth, because there ain't no fountain of youth. It's not because of that. Manny look young because them guys ain't that good. That's why. There's a difference between a top-ranked fighter and a PBC fighter. There's a glaring difference. That's why Top Rank is 16-3 or 16-4 with PBC fighters, because they not that good. But you trying to tell yourself that Keith Thurman is the level of a Manny Pacquiao? That Broner is the level of a Manny Pacquiao? Nah, he showed y'all. Even at 40 years old, these dudes cannot handle me because they not that good over there. You know what I mean? A lot of people hate me for pointing that out, but I'm not gonna lie to accommodate your fragile fucking ego or this obsession that you have with Al Heyman. I don't know what you think Al Heyman is, but he's just another boxing guy to me. So I'm gonna say what the fuck I want. You don't have to like it. I'm gonna say it anyway. Fuck you gonna do about it? You ain't gonna jump on this live and tell me shit. Because y'all already know if y'all jump on here, I'm gonna embarrass you in real time. And I'm gonna play it back for people and make money off embarrassing you. It's reality. Can't stop me. Can't stop me. You know. What kills me is that they insist on arguing. I don't go to people's pages, or I don't seek out discussions with these guys. It's always the other way. It's always one-way traffic. You're always coming to me trying to argue about something just for me to consistently post facts. It's a fact that Canelo does not need Jermall Charlo. Jermall don't sell. David don't sell. What are you talking about? Andre, when has he ever sold? Canelo does not need them fighters. He want them fighters. He don't need them. He want them. It's a difference. Are y'all acting like, oh, Canelo this, Canelo that? Canelo broke the indoor attendance record in this country with a dude that most people in this country don't even know. Billy Joe Saunders, 73,000 in attendance. And you trying to tell yourself that he need them guys for what? I suppose that he needs a face to punch, yeah. But it doesn't have to be their face specifically. Whatever that kid does, it sells. And it ain't because of them. Them dudes is nobody. This Canelo world, they just live in it. That's all it is. And I'm just here to remind you. Canelo world, motherfucker. Viva Mexico. You already know. But yeah, as far as Edgar Berlanga, I actually thought he looked good yesterday. I thought he did good yesterday. Because I've seen him against the moving target before, and he didn't look good. That was the Caceres fight. You know, Caceres is moving lateral, trying to set traps and set up counters. And the movement, that was the first time that Edgar kind of looked bad. And the movement was bothering him. You could see that. Whereas yesterday, he was able to really deal with the movement a lot better, jabbing his way in, trying for different punches. He didn't knock the guy out. That's the indictment. That he didn't knock the guy out. But hey, man, Rome wasn't built in a day. Nobody's perfect. What it do? Nobody's perfect. Man, this motherfucking mouse is getting on my nerves. Is it double clicking? Every time I click something, it click off.
Yeah, it does. It is double clicking because I was on and off like twice.
Yeah, like that shit. I got to get a new mouse. I've literally had that mouse for about. I shit you not, country. I've probably had this mouse for 10 years.
Right. It's time to put a strap on for
a wireless mouse or.
I mean, like, because you have to charge it or because it's battery operated. You know, like, that's what I don't like. You gotta
wireless with batteries, dude. It's not that bad. It really is.
It lasts a while. It lasts a good while. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, I ain't gonna be on long. I just want to say this because I saw someone mention this about Crawford. Look, I don't want to hear shit about his resume. Victor Postal was the number 1 and 2 or 2 consensus guy at 140 at the time. Julius Ndongo was a badass. Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao first. Gamboa was in his prime. Ricky Burns, good run at 140. I don't want to hear nothing. And if people say Mean Machine knocked him down, bro, Mean Machine was a hard puncher. He still is a hard puncher. So I don't want to hear none of that crap.
The funny shit is that there's no point in arguing right now. But that's how they got like a lot. What I see about Spence fans, being real with you, a lot of y'all motherfuckers are sissified because y'all trying to have arguments to settle your nervousness. They about to fight, bro. All this arguing and shit is not about nothing. You got Spence, right? I ain't think you got Spence. The fuck? What you want to argue about for, bro? If you that confident that Errol gonna do this and do that, then bet on Errol and bet large. The fuck you arguing about? What you cackling for? Ain't gonna change nothing. I got Crawford. You got Errol.
I'm with Old Dirty Boxing. Look, he draw Virgil too. I remember that. Aegis is not Aegis. Fucking nice name's not Aegis. It's something Calviascus, whatever.
Aegis Cavaliauskas.
Yeah.
Just Mean Machine. Call him Mean Machine.
Yeah, Mean Machine. He's like, people make it out to be like he doesn't have 23 wins, with only loss being Crawford up until Virgil recently.
Exactly. Because they don't know that he's a 2-time Olympian. They don't know, and I've always said this, that Mean Machine is actually one of the bigger welterweights. He's big. He's stocky for a welterweight, and he's strong. That's why they call him Mean Machine, because he's strong. You see what he did to Jamal James. He beat the shit out of Jamal James. And Jamal is a huge welterweight, but he beat the shit out of Jamal. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he dropped Crawford. That's cool. Like, but even Floyd, even though it's unofficial, but to me it's official. Zab dropped him, bro. Zab dropped. What you saying that because he got dropped before he gonna lose? Andre Ward got dropped 2 times, bro.
And you see, and I want to just call out the double standard because again, I'm not going to be here long. Look, when Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao, he was the top shit, top of the world. Oh yeah, it's Ugas, it's a killer, it's a this and that. But when Horn did it a couple of years earlier on, Horn was just overrated. He was just a hype job. Like, get the hell out of here.
That's why I don't really talk to a lot of them guys willfully, because it's like, you got a baby brain, bro. If I ask you them questions, who mic is that, man?
Not mine.
That was me laughing because you said baby brain. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Like, they got baby brains. Like, if I ask you, what about Jeff Horn? He was actually the first one that really, in recent years, Manny looked old in that fight, bro. Jeff was bullying him around. He was like throwing him around. And they don't give Crawford no credit for that. But you want me to give Ugas credit for fighting a much, much, much older Manny Pacquiao. Aside from beating an old Manny Pacquiao, what he did? What did he do? A Manny that didn't fight in, 2 years, I believe it was, going into that fight?
Look, Manny didn't find the fountain of youth, as you said, until he came back to the PBC.
What I'm trying to tell you is because them fighters ain't no good. Shout out to my
thanks,
man D-Song for the Beer Fund. The Beer Fund of America, inebriating a Dominican near you. Jody Harola, saludos. Edgar has extremely slow processing speed with fast twitch muscles, almost like a less skilled Wilfredo Gomez. Yeah, certain things about him seem delayed. But I would be lying if I said that he looked bad yesterday. I honestly didn't think he looked bad. He looked more fluid. He looked more fluid and crafty than he did his last 4 fights, especially the Romer and Gulo fight. In that fight, he looked really stiff, really tentative, didn't want to let any power shots go. Yesterday, he looked all right. I ain't telling y'all he going to no.
Julius.
Well,
He
he
looked
doesn't look like he's ready to get anywhere near Canelo. He needs to shut up about that and develop more. I mean,
Yeah.
for real.
Julius,
Yeah.
he didn't look good. He looked better.
No.
He looked better than before. Yeah. But good?
You think he looked bad? Yo, who Mike is? Who the fuck?
Somebody's got that shit on in the background. That's what it is.
I'm on mute.
Go ahead, Leo.
Listen, this guy has plus 20 fights, and he fought a former middleweight. If you're not stopping the guy, I don't want to hear it. Not really. You thought he was going to stop him?
I did.
For Christ's sake, he got stopped by fucking
Demetrius.
Andrade.
Verdad. Eso es la verdad. Eso es la verdad. That there was a sense that, like, yeah, you got to stop this guy because this guy's been stopped by a non-puncher. We know Andrade is not a power guy. We all know that. And he stopped that dude in 1 round. So, and that was at 160. If you can't stop him at 168, yes, not a good.
You know how ironic that is that he couldn't stop the guy that Andre stopped, but Andre could have stopped the guy that Berlanga stopped.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
He just dropped him. I don't think
Yeah, he didn't stop Nicholson, but he did beat the shit out of him because he dropped him like 4 times. Like, and he did not get dropped like Andre. Remember, Andre got dropped in that fight. The referee ruled it a slip, but that was a knockdown, bro. That was off a punch. You know what I mean? So
and I think the ref ruled a knockdown in the last night's fight, and then, but like he pushed him down. Like, I feel like they're still trying to like protect Berlanga, because like he's being brought up slowly, but I see the development there. It's like it's incremental, but yet I still don't see like the punch variety. Like he wasn't attacking the body like he should have.
I mean, with him, it's kind of obvious what happened. You got a bunch of first-round stoppages your first 16 fights, so you don't have as many rounds in the bank as another fighter. And because all of this happened in front of so many people, you have a level of pressure that another fighter doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like if you think about Boots, for example, I don't even remember seeing Boots when he was 10-0. I don't even remember seeing him, bro. Not saying that, not saying nothing bad. I'm saying that with Edgar, the hype was bad because not everybody looking at you. And as soon as you start looking bad, everybody already looking at you. Whereas another fighter that might have developed in the background, they didn't have that pressure. They don't have everybody waiting to see them fuck up. You know what I mean? he does. So it's like y'all almost Top Rank almost promoted him too good because it's like as soon as he started looking bad,
The hype started
It
too
was
early.
detrimental
That's
to
the
his
thing.
development, I think.
I would say so.
It was. I mean,
'Cause-
because like if you go back on Boots' resume, right? Like you look at his early fights, he'll go on like the distance in 4-rounders, 6-rounders, stuff like that. And you'll find that for other prospects too. But with Edgar, it's like, bruh, man. I mean that now we're just seeing all the cracks. I mean, it's like I was never high on him to begin with. I never bought into all that stuff. I mean, because I just thought that. I mean, even before this fight, the Quigley fight, and I just got a sense, even though I picked Edgar to stop him or knock him out, I just had this distinct sense that the fight would be fairly competitive and they would go to distance, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, they started the hype too early on him. I think they should have put him in against some decent guys when he wasn't that known, and see how he would be doing. But that whole knockout in the first round, that started too early, and he was knocking out nobodies. Like these guys weren't.
It wasn't knocking nobody. Wasn't knocking out nobody that was good or nobody that mattered. He was knocking over stiffs.
He
knocking
fell
over.
victim to his own hype, and his ego got out of control about it, and he thought he was
You
this
got
monster
no-
puncher.
you
And
bad.
then when he moved up, obviously he wasn't.
How old is
Yeah.
that kid? How old is he?
I think he's like 25, right? He's a young guy. He's like 25.
at least
Something like
25,
that.
24.
Yeah, 25 or 20. I think 25. I don't even think he's
I mean,
25.
He ain't good. Look, he ain't good. I'm gonna be real, and I don't say this to be mean. It's just look at the division. I would pick Pacheco to beat him now. I would pick Mobility to beat him now. Morel definitely would beat him now. And I don't say that to be mean. It's just if you want my opinion, do I think he gonna be able to win a belt? Or do I think he could really make it with the other unbeaten guys or whatever? Nah, fam.
You guys almost made me feel bad the way y'all brought out some facts about how maybe he got the hype too much, because the truth of the matter is this is what I see Berlanga as. A phenomenal future gatekeeper. That's what I see him as.
Yeah. I don't even think he could
Never.
keep. I don't think he could keep the gate. There's certain gatekeeper is not. I don't think he could keep the gate. I don't think he could, because a gatekeeper is not. Oh, will you be fighting everybody? You can fight everybody, get your motherfucking ass whooped. A gatekeeper is actually a guy that he's gonna beat some of these guys. Like he gonna make you fight. Like Chisora is a gatekeeper that not everybody gonna beat him. Takam, that's a gatekeeper. You see what happened to Tony Yoka? Tony thought it was sweet. You lost, motherfucker. That is a gatekeeper.
Okay.
I call him like a hard hitting journeyman.
I mean, compare him to a guy. Compare him to somebody. Like if you feel that he may turn out to be a journeyman, who would you compare him to? Like, would you say he's like Gabe Rosado is a gatekeeper?
Oh yeah,
he's a gatekeeper. Like yeah, he probably gonna lose, but you're gonna have to earn it. It ain't gonna be easy.
He gonna make you work. Gabe gonna make you work, bro. He will.
Jaime didn't have it easy with Gabe. He didn't. Like, he had to fight for that victory. He had to fight. You know what I mean? We got the great Tony Bellew in the building. Tony Bellew, how you doing?
How are you, mate?
My career. That shit took me out yesterday, bro. That shit. There's no coming back from my career. That shit took me out, bro. That's the best Bellew I heard in ever, bro.
That wasn't
real
actually
shit.
that bad yourself, Jules. That impression right there you did.
I mean, that's because I use my alien DNA to process the sounds that Julio used. Like, did a fantastic job. But for real, who's Berlanga gonna fight next, man?
Yo, actually, I want to ask you a
idea.
question, Jules. Like,
Another
how'd you get from your home to the Hulu Theater? Coaching Quigley.
Oh, me? I walk really fast. I walk really fast.
But fellas, like, honestly, I don't know who would honestly win a fight between Jaime McGee and Edgar. I seriously don't know.
Nah, I think I feel
I will go
Munguia
Edgar.
You go.
McGee been in more wars. A little
I
more
think
battle
Munguia
tested.
would fuck him up, man. To be honest,
I think Munguia would fuck him up. I do.
I
Because
see that as a 50-50 fight. If I'm being
Nah,
honest.
it's the pace. It's the pace that one, Munguia has more rounds in the bank.
Mhm.
Two, he sets a faster pace for a fight. The pace that Munguia sets, Edgar is not used to that. So, like he's not gonna be able to handle the pressure when Jaime finally get on his Jaime shit and explodes. Edgar not gonna know what to do with that, and he just gonna be like,
frustrated and bite again, like he did in the other fight.
So just one quick question, guys. Based on what you saw yesterday, do you think he could box effectively against Munguia?
no. No,
maybe for a few rounds. Maybe for a few rounds.
Man, I think in a couple more fights, he could probably.
I mean, he could catch him clean. Just
let me say this. Edgar has the right style. Edgar is a boxer puncher. That's what he looked like. He's caught between styles almost. But if he's anything, he's a boxer puncher. Get the boxing, do the punching. He goes for the knockout. He's not a pure boxer. He certainly isn't an outside jabber. He's not completely defensively minded, but he's not a pressure fighter either. He's a boxer puncher. That's the right style to beat Jaime. But do I think you could take one from Jaime? I don't.
I think he could. He's naturally bigger.
Who do you think is the harder puncher between the two?
I think Munguia hit harder, actually.
Did you see what Jaime did to Toriano Johnson?
Oh yeah.
Did you see that shit?
Oh, I forgot all about that.
That motherfucker ear or some shit was
just he split his lip in that fight, right?
Yeah, you're right. That was his. He opened his. The meat was hanging out. The fucking ground chuck was hanging out, bro.
Oh, ground chuck. When I saw, I was begging them to stop that fight when that happened.
I tell you,
get him out, man.
I ain't never seen Edgar do that shit to nobody.
Also, until now, everybody Berlanga fought has
about that.
In the moment Berlanga got a half of a step up in competition, his knockout power faded. So I mean,
I don't think he has the power to knock.
I mean,
that's why he's caught in between right now, because he thought he came in thinking he was the power guy, and now he found out he's not the power guy. Now he's trying to find his way. That's why he's caught between styles.
What's the best guy Jaime knocked out?
The best. No. He come on now. He beat the great Saddam Ali.
Oh yeah,
bro. I think 2 fights from now, maybe like that version of Edgar could probably outbox him. I'm not gonna lie.
Still waiting.
I don't know, but honestly, it's like he has the ring craft to make it complex, but physically, zero ring savvy, and physically, I don't think he's as tough as Jaime Munguia, because let's not make it about Jaime. Let's give Edgar the Sergey that Jaime fought. Sergey will knock him the fuck out, bro. You think Edgar could beat Sergey?
No.
But Sergey also did beat Munguia, though. He got robbed.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that. wait. I'm not disagreeing. I'm like, yeah, to me he did, but Munguia is at least durable enough to go the distance and maybe turn things around, because he did turn things around late in the fight. The last 2 rounds, he was really fucking up Sergey. And I'm like, would Edgar go 12 rounds with that Sergey doing all that shit? And do you really think that Edgar would have been ready for Gabe Rosado, the Gabe Rosado that Jaime fought? I'm being real when I say
that's a good fight, though.
No,
they should make that fight.
No,
I think Gabe would have got him. To be real, like if they would have made that fight,
Gabe should come out of retirement to fight him. Which y'all think?
Yeah, or I was saying yesterday Uzcategui, because he's gonna be there for Edgar and let him work.
Berlanga's never been in a pressure cooker and performed in a pressure cooker. That's the problem. He hasn't performed in a pressure cooker.
Good the last time I saw
him. Neither has. I think
Uzcategui a good fight. I'd watch that shit.
Munguia arguably looks shittier when he's under pressure.
What I think Eddie should do, honestly, offer Gabe Rosado a lot of bread to come out of retirement. Puerto Rico, Philly Rican versus New York Rican. That's the angle, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch it. Like,
yeah, I'm watching it.
He retired,
man.
bro.
You trying to add his CTE, bro. You trying to add to his CTE. Chill.
I mean, it's good that, you got to add the things, bro. You got to build the CTE. You got to build the brain damage.
You got to build the big nugget of CTE.
You got to let it marinate.
No. That's not a good sauce.
I let the brain damage marinate, bro. You know that I'm still not sure that he would beat Gabe. Like, I'm not. I don't know that he would.
I don't think he would.
That's kind of an indictment.
Gabe be crafty and make him look like shit for the first, I don't know how many rounds, but I think Edgar's like athletic enough to make him will.
I think at this point, I think he would beat Gabe at this point. But
he needs those type of fights because he has no development. Like,
he wouldn't beat Bektamir Melenkuziev.
Nah,
Bektamir will knock him out.
I don't think he will either.
what I'm saying. Think about the whole pool. You got Lerone Richards, you got Bektamir Melikuziev, you got Mabili, you got Pacheco, you got Morel. He got because he's not really a prospect, you know what I mean? But even let's put him in there. Gangara. I would not pick Edgar to beat none of them. And I don't say that to be mean or petty. I'm just being honest that I would not pick him to beat none of them guys, man.
You don't think he can beat any of them?
They have to like hold his hand. They got to hold his hands and walk him into those fights. Like let him get 2 more fights, man, because that's just not going to be entertaining.
Eddie better get the checkbook out and get the Philly Rican on the phone. The Philly Rican that's in LA.
There's not a lot of names. Like who's he going to fight in the meantime?
No. There are a lot. Bro, I just think like think about it. This is a fighter that probably fights.
Julian, are all those names on the DAZN platform?
That's what I'm saying. And he's not gonna jump straight into that, bro.
He's gotta fight whoever's on the DAZN platform and whatever fight is easiest to make. And at this point,
I agree with that. Wait. But I'll say this. Gonna make money. That if you wanted Mabili, right, who is promoted by Eye of the Tiger management in junction with Top Rank, but Top Rank doesn't have final say over his career. Eye of the Tiger does. If push came to shove and Berlanga wanted a Mabili fight, you don't think he could get it? If Edgar wanted a Lerone Richards fight, that would be a nightmare for him, by the way.
Oh, man. Steve Rolls is outboxing him. Good Lord.
Steve Rolls is 40. He's 40, bro. Like,
But you know what? The easiest fight, I think, is going to have to be Munguia for the money, too. Because if you're Eddie Hearn, if you're Eddie Hearn watching that last night, you're thinking to yourself, "Oh fuck."
Nah, I'll tell you what. Munguia is the fight, bro. I don't disagree with that. That's the fight, but that's not the next fight. It's not. You saw yesterday's fight yesterday. You like, this guy is not ready for Munguia yet. He needs 2 more fights. I would get him the Philly Rican, Gabriel Rosado, and that'll tell a story that, listen, bro, it's sink or swim, bro. If you can't beat Gabe, you definitely ain't beating Munguia. So we gonna do this. We gonna get you Gabe. He's coming off another L. He is coming off another L. We gonna get you Gabe, Philly Rican versus New York for the Philly Cheesesteak Championships.
Can you do better than that, Jules? Can we do better than that, man? You up here adding on CTE, bro. You making it CTEE, man. Come on, man. We need somebody
to add another E to that shit.
There's another
give me another fighter, Jules.
Someone else with scrambled eggs brain. Jared Hurd. Maybe he goes up all the way to 168 for that fight. Whatever's left of him.
That's another no. Y'all on the no festival. Come on, give me somebody else, Jules.
Eddie, you know what? Wait, Yildirim, bro.
Ain't nobody want to see him fight Avni. The reason I keep bringing up Gabe, if you've been to New York, and I say this all the time, one thing a Puerto Rican going to do is let you know they Puerto Rican. Feel me? They are loyal as fuck. So if you tell them Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico, you could sell that at Madison Square Garden. He'll fill out the Hulu Theater once again. And it's actually a good acid test for Edgar. They're like, yo, dog, you need to fight Gabe. You need to show everybody that you could beat a guy like this, a crafty, experienced guy who's been in there with a lot of good fighters anywhere in between 168 to 150.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico, because, you know, Gabe is from Philly. He a Philly Rican. Edgar's a New Yorican. You need that, because if we put you in there with Jaime right now, that would be us throwing you to the wolves. Not that fight is easy to make right now anyway, because it isn't. Oscar Zach and retarded. I don't even know, like, what are you doing, fam? Like, you bugging, like, you talking all that shit because Canelo went to the PBC, like it make you look better. You don't have shit, bro. You got Jaime and Virgil. Zerno is off getting.
Hey, you know what's crazy? So, like, I was watching some interviews Eddie was doing. He has nothing but good things to say about Canelo. Whereas Oscar, you burned that bridge completely. Like, and he's doing the same.
There is no going back to Oscar De La Hoya after all the shenanigans. But if something were to happen with Al Heyman and something were to fall through, you know, Canelo can always go back to Eddie Hearn.
Of course,
and that's a door that's always open.
Of course, that's why you gotta be mature. And I did a video on it where I said that Oscar's acting as if ineptitude or hard feelings are the reasons that Canelo left. No, you don't got the fights that I want right now. So they got fights, so I'm gonna go over there. But it ain't no hard feelings. It ain't no fuck you or nothing like that. With Oscar, exactly it's business.
He's a baby mama. He's acting like a baby mama.
Oh man,
he's acting like a bitter rat.
De La Hoya just want to see somebody else falter that he don't like because his falter was giganticer. That's the new word, giganticer.
Listen,
Oscar the way
Oscar's a very
it's
unhappy
akin to him
person.
throwing his toys out of the pram, ain't it?
Because you can have all the gas station dick pills in the world, and you can have all the fake titty silicone breasts in the world. Your company is in dire straits. It's not a game. Your most popular fighter is literally trying to leave you, and all you can do to stop him is take him to court. You going through Ryan, which you already went through with Canelo. Except
that's a good idea. That'll play out well. That's a good idea.
But when it comes to his animosity towards PBC, I get it because they left his ass with a barrel just hanging over himself.
But he wasn't doing his damn job though.
See, it's a double-edged sword to where you say, look, do I view Al Heyman and Richard Schaefer as thieves? Absolutely, 100% I do. You've already proven you cannot be trusted, and that's the prime example. But at the same time, that don't happen to you, Oscar, unless you asleep at the wheel. Somebody had to be.
A double-edged sword is still a sword.
You know what I mean? Somebody had. They took 200 fighters from you, bro.
It's just,
convince them to leave.
It's really petty that after all these years, it's really petty that he'd rather focus on being hateful and making hateful comments instead of building his business better. I mean, it's just a lack of maturity. You don't grow that way. And if you're still going to harp on the fact that Canelo went with Eddie Hearn after being with Oscar, this is why he's doing this. He never forgot about it. He's been salty about it forever. He's never going to let it go. He's never going to let go of the Al Heyman debacle. He's just he's a petty person. He's a very unhappy person, and you're always going to hear drama from him.
Let me say this: you have Canelo that left you for Eddie, and then you were trying to get Edgar. You know, for those that may have forgot, he was trying to get Edgar after Top Rank, and
he was. I remember,
and that's another fighter that chose Eddie over you. You know what I mean? It's like you feeling like you know he trying to have like a pissing contest or whatever. He's trying to measure dicks, and he's coming up short. Like nobody want to fuck with you, bro.
The problem is that he has not done anything to develop and help fighters come up like the other companies have, and there's no comparison, and people see that. That's why they don't want to, go with him, because they see what's happened with him with Canelo and some of the other fighters, and they're like, I don't want no part of that. So they're like,
and he doesn't. And the other thing is he doesn't have the opponents. You know, like if Edgar would have went with him, he does have Munguia. He would have that, but we know that wouldn't have been, a quick fight that they made. You know what I mean? That all right, I'm gonna go to Golden Boy because they have Jaime. It ain't like that would have been your first fight with Oscar. And you see all the problems that Oscar has with other fighters like Ryan and Canelo, and you're like, do I really want to go over there? Like, am I really gonna? Yeah, it's unfortunate because Golden Boy shows, if you watch them, they're actually very entertaining. Even the smaller ones, like the Luis Neri versus Havanese.
Oh yeah, that was a good ass fight.
That was a good ass fight, man. But it's just Oscar on that sniff, bro. Like, you got to chill out, bro.
Hell yeah.
By the way, Jules, I was about to say you had something on your camera.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was.
Wait, I gotta ask, what did he do to his abs, bro? What did he do to his abs?
Do you know what he did? He did not do.
It's funny.
He took the fat. He took the fat out of his love handles and pulled the skin back so that they would be more pronounced. That's what he did.
Yeah, fighters are like, I don't want to promote her with fake abs.
Bro, just do some fucking sit-ups, bro. Abs are not even hard to get.
Those are literally
Eat a salad.
other abs.
Eat a salad. How about that?
I will say that. I will say this, that I've never been one for abs. I think it's probably just the most useless shit to work on. Just to, like in general, like
purely an aesthetic muscle.
It's an aesthetic muscle. It is like it's not a. Like I get it that if you're punching, if you get punched in the stomach, you want a strong. I get it. Look, but I'm not gonna get punched in the stomach, bro. I'm not fucking Rambo out here, right? I'm fucking 40. You got 2 kids, a wife. I'm not gonna get punched in the stomach, bro. If anything goes down, I'll just shoot you in the head. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Oscar
do my
literally
full
put a
check.
fucking cupcake pan on his stomach. That's what he did.
There's other more important muscle
doesn't he have
groups
money?
to work
Can he
on.
hire a personal trainer to help him get that shit?
Bro,
I mean,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like getting
Bro,
getting
go back
getting
to
at a six
boxing.
getting at a six pack is actually not hard. Like, no, it's really not hard to get a six pack.
It'll probably take a month. That's it.
I
Maybe
wonder
less.
Yeah, like, it's not hard to get that shit,
I
bro.
wonder if the
Oh,
girlfriend
you
and him
don't even
share the
need a
same
trainer.
plastic
He
surgeon.
knows.
You know they
even need-
probably
he
do.
don't
She
even
probably
need
the
a
one that
trainer.
recommended him.
He don't even need a trainer. He knows how to do it himself. He just doesn't want to.
She probably
Bro,
took the fat
and
from
what's
his
so
love
crazy,
handles.
all you need to do is sniff a little bit of blow before you go in the gym. You're gonna kill it, bro. Just
Gonna have a
you're
heart
gonna
attack.
kill it, bro.
By the way, fellas,
Hey,
I don't
Stu,
care. I
hey,
don't
Stu,
care. Yo, I
hey,
don't care what
check this
anybody
out.
says. I don't care
Hey,
what
check
anybody
this out,
says. But
though.
Oscar was high
It's
on that
easier
Triller
said than
card.
done when we ain't rich as fuck. So remember how you was just like, look, I'm 40, man. I just shoot a motherfucker in the head. Oscar's probably like, man, I'm 50, man. What the fuck I look like working out, busting my ass? I'll just pay for my six pack.
Right,
You know what I mean?
But at the same time, he's still treating his nose. So you figure, look, bro, use
Yeah,
the
he can
power.
afford it. It's a rich man's drug, dog.
Dude.
You use the power for something. Use the power for good. Before you do your sets and all of that, sniff a little bit of blow and get in there and kill it, man. Be the best version of you. Them abs look weird, bro. They don't even.
Bro,
them
I
shits
don't
look
think
good,
he
bro.
got
You look
the fat
weird.
stuff
You look
out.
weird,
I
yeah.
think he got implants because here's why. When the pictures of him with his shirt off, when a person has fake abs, the dead giveaway is when they stand, when the weight shifts to one leg or the other, one side of the abs will disform slightly and you'll see them shift. That's how a person has real abs. When you see a person standing with no shirt on, a dude, and he shifts weight to one leg or the other, and the abs are both holding and looking the same on both sides, that's when they're fake.
You got Botox abs, bro. You
Yeah,
got like
bro, he got some
Botox abs
CG.
and shit.
shit in there, man.
It's like his wife took the fat out of his abs and put it in her ass. That's what my
That is so.
There you go.
Look at her,
There you
bro.
go.
What a
Oh, real.
Oh, what? Are you
had
guys
a
scared
tube
of
going
are you guys
from
scared of
his
mutual
gut to
love?
her ass,
Oh my
bro.
god.
You guys
dude.
never been loved by a woman before?
man.
He's got like
He's
Michael
been
Jackson,
having abs.
bird nose
That's
and
a
shit.
that's a keeper for you right there.
I mean, shit, you got to use it for something. Now, I'll be back. I'm gonna get some Chinese food. I'll be right.
Enjoy, man. I mean, that's got to be a fucking ice tray ad.
Yep. I mean, fella, you know
Straight
how
up.
I know you know how I know Oscar was high.
You know what it
Triller
is?
card with
They
Jake
they,
Paul?
they took
Like-
it from the set of the Batman movie. They just took it and they put it under his skin, and then
Oh,
that
yeah.
was it.
The way Oscar's eyes be bugging out on camera on some of the press conferences, man, you just know.
Oh, he's
I mean,
high
Hey,
as fuck.
hey,
He just cannot
know
lay
he's
off
I
the
fucking
got
brick
high.
heel.
3D printed abs and shit.
You know, I just
Right.
wonder if I wonder if there's a picture of him with like white powder around his nose, like the Mike Tyson one, you know, somewhere floating around. Because there's got to be something, dude. There's got to be a photo of something.
Hey,
But
let me
he-
read
but-
the super chat real quick. Get hand says Mike damn near 60, and look at him. No excuses, Oscar.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Look at Evander Holyfield.
Yep.
He keeps
Yep.
himself in shape 24/7. That guy keeps himself in shape.
But do y'all remember what he called what's his name, Steve Cunningham on the Triller card with Jake Paul and Ben Askren?
No.
I mean, dude, here's how I know he was high. He called him USSR.
Oh, I remember that shit.
He was high as
Dude,
fuck, bro.
oh
He
my
was high as
god.
fuck.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Man, I erased that cringe memory
was a
from my memory bank,
disaster.
and now
Hold
you
He
on,
was
bro.
on one, man. He was so high.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was rooted
Hey,
all
did he
right,
smoke
man.
the
Hey,
shit?
Julio, it's inescapable, bro. You ain't gonna escape that.
USSR.
I'm like, oh my god, man. Dude, somebody get him,
Bro,
please.
okay,
Like,
so I thought, you know what? I thought it was a mockery, but I actually thought the whole commentary was such a fucking joke. It was entertaining. It was so
Snoop
bad.
Dogg
it
was actually
good.
pretty good. Snoop Dogg didn't
Yeah,
do too bad. He
I
funny.
was
He
laughing the whole
I
time.
laughed my ass
funny.
off, man. It wasn't what I was expecting from boxing. I wasn't.
No,
I thought it was
fuck
funny.
no.
Oh, I thought you guys. I thought you was talking about last night's card because I thought
No,
that
no,
was
no. Jake Paul,
Berlanga hand
It
job.
was the
Like,
Triller
literally.
card from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
got
yeah.
high
Oh,
with
yeah, that was
Oscar
terrible.
I thought
Oh,
Snoop
it
Dogg
was
did a good
fucking-
job. Snoop Dogg did a good job. You made me laugh.
Yeah, no, and there was like music and shit, and then like stand-up comedians and all this other shit. And then during the commentary, it was just fucking chaos. They were just saying whatever. Oscar was fucked up.
He really was.
Oh my god, he was like going to the bathroom and coming back. What's going on, USSR?
Bro, Thriller is the fucking Taco Bell at 1 a.m. of fucking boxing. You know.
Oh my god! But I mean, I thought it was funny. I started laughing. I was like, "Holy shit! What am I watching? Are they saying this shit for real?" And then who was that guy? I guess he's on PBC. He's a ring announcer. They made him take his tie off, or he's fired, or They made some kind of reference to him having to take his tie off where he can get the fuck out or something. And I was like, are you guys fucking kidding? What am I watching? And no, they were for real, man. I mean, I
actually paid for that card.
I did too. I mean, you had to pay. It was like what, $60 or something like that.
I think it was 50. It was 50. Yeah, I paid.
Yeah.
Hey, wake up, Mr. Fresh Goggles says motherfuckers always want to dodge ab work and leg day.
That's true. That's very
leg
true.
day for sure. A lot of people skip
I
leg
can't
day.
stand legs. Oh my god, bro. Legs are just cruel. That is excruciating.
Every day's leg day if you're doing it right, man.
Facts.
You know, if you do, if at least you're doing calisthenics, you're doing like self body weight, you're doing a lot of.
You don't need to rest your abdominal, your core, sides, front, the back, the whole core. Cradle, you don't have to rest those. You can do those every single day without damaging anything.
You know,
you got to rest your legs though.
I'll give it to Oscar about one thing though, man. He may have a failing company. He may be high as shit on drugs, but he's got a hot woman, and that dude can pull bitches left and right, man.
She's only with him for his money.
I'll give him his prep. Well, no, he's been pulling him since he's been fighting, dude. All the girls loved his ass. So
that dude could still pull chicks, man. That like no matter what, doesn't
matter. Yeah, he can make fun of his fake abs all he wants. Yeah, he can still get whatever he wants.
He'll walk around with his Batman abs, and he'll get whatever. You know.
I mean, is the late great Jerry Springer once said, R.I.P. He said, "Hey, I may not have a lot of good. I may not be very good looking, but I'm rich as shit."
Yeah.
Because like some people, they can't get they don't have what it takes to get real abs, so they have to pay for them. Oscar's like, I could do whichever one I want. If I feel like working, I'll get abs on my own. If I want to pay for them, I'll pay for them. I don't care.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I found really strange was, you know, he was trying to work out to get ready for a fight, and I think he was supposed to fight
Victor Belfort.
Right.
When he was getting ready to work, he was getting back.
And then he faked COVID. He faked like he was in bed. He's like, oh, I'm so sick. Oh, and I was like, what the? I think he just got coked out and said, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, and Holyfield stepped in, and we got to see that.
Of course, dude. Once you start working out for a fight after partying like that, and your body's older, because the thing I admired about Oscar when he was younger is that he was a great fucking boxer. And he would
active too, bro. It's like, dude, in '97 he fought 5 times, and one of those fights was against Purnell, bro.
But the guy would be on benders and party all night, and then show up to the fight the next day. And I'm like, holy shit! And he was notorious.
He had a higher metabolism.
I mean, if you're younger, you can metabolize all kinds of alcohol, drugs, whatever.
All right, Jules, give us the rundown. What you got?
Hey, Jules, I read your 2 super chats, man.
All right, go look.
No, I'm gonna some fried rice. What you got, bro?
Let me play this for y'all. This is Roy talking to Jared Anderson. Fuckers go with this shit.
My mom, my parents, they instilled in me as a kid who I was and what I would be. That I was gonna change something, that I was gonna be better. I was gonna be different, period. And boxing is never gonna make me not be that. I know I'm good at this and I know I can have fun in this, but like, this might not just be what completely make me happy.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this: the higher power gave you more. When there's more given, more is expected. So guess what? Jerry has an obligation to the higher power, to all of those back in Toledo where he came from, to his mother, to succeed. That's just the obligation that comes with it. You let a lot of people down if you quit right now. People that love you for real. Some people that'll give their life for you, because your mama give her life right now for her son. You understand that? But it's the pressure, though. I understand the pressure, but God built us different. Did you just tell me that? I'm 23. So sometimes there's a lot put on us. But it's put on us because we're the ones that can take it. Jared may not think he can sometime. Jared may get messed up sometime, but Jared can wear these shoes. That's why Jared has it. You understand me? But Jared ain't asked for it. Too bad. Jared has a destiny that Jared can't run from. And Jared ain't no coward. I already know that. Right? So Jared may as well make up his mind and let's go. You got to ride that horse, son. I'm sorry. You got to ride that horse. I rode it. You ain't got to ride it till the wheels come off, but you got to ride it. You understand me? You got to ride it till you get where you want to be in life, then you can get off of it. So we're going to ride that horse. Ride it. That's just what we got to do. All right?
Pause.
Damn, what the hell?
Giddy up, giddy up.
Did you add the music?
Well, I'm glad
she ain't hear me because because if she did, she would have threw a shoe. You would have seen a shoe come across. She got to ride it.
Hey, if you're tripping about the
Man,
pressure,
Roy get his
now,
preach
shit, he
on,
ain't
bro. I
famous
got
yet.
it. What was that on?
Roy was testifying.
Bro was preaching, yo.
What
Because
was that?
Jared want to retire at 26, bro. That's what he
Say-
said.
But if you
Say
watch
what?
the Marcus
26.
Vegas interview, basically disses Roy. He just like, I don't give a fuck about that shit.
I mean, to me, look, that's this generation, bro. Like, if you look at Ryan, didn't we see Ryan say something similar?
He
Didn't
did.
we?
He did.
And then you see another young fighter from based out of the USA. Now you don't hear the Brits acting like that. You don't hear them Asian fighters acting like that. You don't hear them Eastern Euro fighters, from all them Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and all the stans and the shit.
Well, Fury sounds like that. Worse.
Yeah, but Fury's in his mid-30s, so if he did sound like
that, on Twitter today, man, and I said this: look, America is having a therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, but with Ryan, I could actually see him retiring because, like, he's got crossover appeal and he's got like other stuff going on, like endorsements. So, like, honestly, he ain't got a box really if he didn't want to. He could find other stuff to do.
Yeah, he could paint his nails all day, bro.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. But with Jared, that's shocking to hear that he wants to get out that early.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would expect that.
And I think that's a uniquely American phenomenon that the young guys don't really want to work hard. Not really. They're not in it for the long haul. In other words, is what I
mean,
see.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's Virgil Ortiz is facing a lot of serious, not mild, but life-threatening kidney failure. And
rhabdomyolysis, is that the disease he has? Is that what it's called?
I think it's a disease that attacks your muscle, like
Yeah,
literally
eats
your muscle
Once you
up.
get it once, you're extremely susceptible to get more and more, and it gets worse.
Exactly. You can always get sick.
He'll never
And
be the same
all he wants to do is just get back in there and prove himself. And
well, I feel like with Virgil, his rhabdomyolysis, I have it on good authority that it the way that he's being trained by his father could be a part of that. Certainly boiling down to 147, as big as he is, because he's big for 147, that's not helping it. That by all rights, if that's going on, irrespective of a belt, irrespective of a fight, you have to do what's right for your body. You should be at 154, but they keep making go to 147. So it's like, I get it. And I like Virgil. Like, he's a good fighter. But it's like, yeah, you got the rhabdomyolysis thing, but you guys are kind of making that worse with what you're doing. Just go to 54. And the reason you don't go to 54 is because, well, you don't got to Spence at a 54 or Crawford. It's not a glamour weight, 154. Everybody knows that. 154 has always been 160's less attractive little sister, It's not one of the glamour weights.
Yeah.
So they're doing what they're doing is motivated by money, in other words. And it's like, if you going through that, it just kind of seems like, even if it's not completely your fault, to some degree, you're not making it better because you're still at 147, and he's huge for 147. That kid's like about 5'9", maybe 5'10". Looks like he rehydrates to about 160, maybe more when he rehydrates. Like, bro, you are killing yourself to get to 147.
So the rhabdo, that's literally like what causes it. It's when you overtrain, when you take your body to a point it's not supposed to get to, it's not ready for, but you push it there, and it can happen. It doesn't happen over time. This happens in a single workout, a single routine. When I was a drill sergeant, this was common with kids that we would get as privates in basic training who had no athletic anything in their fucking history, and then they get there, and then their body's not ready for it, and then what happens is, when you work out, you get sore muscles, right?
Yep.
So that's when the lactic acid builds up in your muscles. But if you do a workout and you only go as far as your body's willing to or can handle, you'll have sore muscles, and your kidney processes all that lactic acid, and life goes on. Then, right? Well, what happens when you catch rhabdo is you're building up so much lactic acid in one moment that your kidneys can't handle it, and then the rest that it can't handle turns into poison that poisons the blood and the muscles. Once it happens to you once, you have to tiptoe around how far you push your workouts in the future, because now you're more susceptible to it for like X amount of years.
Can nutrition? I want to ask, can nutrition at least serve as a buffer? If you're nourishing your body.
So training at the right weight, keeping your body at the right weight, and proper nutrition are contributing factors to whether or not that you are susceptible, more or less susceptible to it.
Is there anything in the blood work that can tell you if something's a little too high, like some kind of like?
That's how they find out. So when you get to when you take a person to the hospital, when a person goes to the hospital with rhabdo, you're going to think they're a heat casualty. All their symptoms are going to be like somebody who's who's having like a heat stroke and like about to be real bad because of heat casualty. And then when they do the blood work, that's when they find out it's rhabdo.
But what I'm saying is that is there any way you can measure it, like do a weekly blood test or something to say, hey, these levels are high, or any way to detect it from and prevent it from happening?
That's why it's difficult, because rhabdo doesn't slowly build over time. Rhabdo happens, boom, in that one workout you do.
So it's acute.
Shit.
It's acute.
Yeah, it happens right away, pretty quick. Yep.
That's awful. Shit.
And I think that's even more indication that, as much as we might like to see him fight certain welterweights, you shouldn't be at welterweight. You should be at either junior middle or middle. But it's more of a fiscal decision to keep him at welterweight than a healthy one, because it's like, bro, it's not like you're gonna get Spence anyway. You're not. It's not like you're gonna get Crawford anyway. Not that you want Crawford, because according to Paco, you rejected the fight 2 times, according to Paco. And Paco is not a guy that just runs around saying shit. That he said that on a Boxing Voice was very telling. So if you know you're not going to get Spence and you don't really want Crawford, then what is the urgency to stay at welterweight? You're not going to get the big fights that are the big fights at welterweight. Just go to 154. And you're young, so you could be in there with a Kurbanov or a Liam Beefy Smith. If Liam were to come back down to 154. There's fights there that are good developmental fights that are actually winnable fights. You should, if anything, you should be building that campaign than focusing on welterweight. But the reason that they're still at welterweight, they know the winner of Spence versus Crawford, whoever it is, they're not staying there. They're going to leave. The titles are going to go vacant, and we want to be here to pick one up. At the cost of your kidneys, though? At the cost of your health?
But I do believe what you're saying about his dad, because how often did this happen when he was with Arbor Garcia?
Yeah. That's what Drew told me about the shit. That's what he heard, and he be over there. He said that it's the dad, bro. The dad is pushing him too hard. That
probably not letting him drink water and shit, like doing dad shit.
Are we still favoring him to beat Stanionis? Because I think the longer this fight, the longer this goes on, man. It's like I see this like I don't know, man. I mean, I was before, but now like layoff and all this other rhabdomyolysis, this shit is like I'm not confident really in my pick.
The thing is that Stanionis hasn't fought since the Butaev fight.
Wait, that's the silver lining too. It's like they're both coming off long layoffs, so it's like
So how long is the layoff right now, comparatively? What's the layoff?
I think it's over a year, bro. Because
at least, yeah.
Stanionis fought on the undercard of Spence Ugas. He fought Radzak Butaev. That was over a year ago.
Oh yeah, that was in April last year. Yeah, damn.
So they both, and he had he had appendicitis or some shit like that. He had like a surgery or some shit. So it's not like it's all sunshine and rainbows for Stanionis, bro.
And when was Virgil's fight with McKinson? August? Was that last August?
I think that was August. I think it was, but it's still a long time.
That was over a year ago too, right there.
Shit, man.
Yeah. Well, listen. At least they're
coming back for this, man. I might flip a coin.
Yeah, they're coming back from pretty decent circumstances, both of them. So I don't think one has an edge over the other in this. So I'd probably say it's a 50-50 fight at this point.
Yep.
It definitely does. And I mean, I have Virgil. No, don't get it twisted. That if I have to pick, I go Virgil. If I have to. But it is a closer fight, at least based on these circumstances.
Like now, it is for sure. It is.
You got remember that making weight is not easy, and you have these young guys that the span of time between one fight and the next is very broad. So if you're fighting consistently and making weight consistently, making it is not going to be as hard because you're busy and you're consistently making it. But when you have all these just long, damn near a year's passes before you've made that weight, that affects your punch resistance. That affects your sharpness. That affects your timing. So it's to me now, like, it's a much closer fight, or I view it as a much closer fight than I did a couple of months ago. Because dude ain't fought in a while. Yeah. Still favor Virgil though. Still favor him.
Yeah, I think I'll ride with him. Maybe a 50. I say 55, 45%.
Oscar gonna be in hell if Virgil loses that fight, bro.
Oh shit!
Oscar's nipples are gonna explode and rainbows are gonna shoot out.
And Coke is gonna come out.
Coke is gonna start.
His abs are gonna burst out.
Y'all horrible.
Coke
He's
is
gonna get the whole front row high.
Coke shooting out everywhere, shooting in everybody's nose. It's like, bro, like, cause he's in a bad way. You got that relationship with Ryan that's on the rocks, and
well, let's just hope he hires Tony Weeks. Maybe he can stop the fight.
I mean,
yo,
listen,
if
man,
Virgil loses, Oscar's gonna Thanos like basically break down into dust for like coke.
he's gonna snap his fingers and his head is gonna explode, and cocaine is just gonna shoot out everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so who does he have? That he's
Eddie,
got
I
Ryan,
don't feel
he's
so
got
good.
Ryan, Virgil, and Jaime.
Oh,
He still got Zerto. It's just that Zerto is
Oh.
going through it. Like Zerto's career path is not clear because realistically, there's no point in you continuing to campaign as a light heavyweight. There's no point. Like, you know, he doesn't want to fight Artur. You know that. I mean, that's why you left Top Rank. You didn't want the big smoke with the big names. You went over to the zone side because you thought it was sweet with Bivol. You thought, well, I'm gonna fight him for. I can fight him for.
Has he fought since the Bivol fight? He hasn't, has he?
He was supposed to. He was supposed to.
We gave right, but the fight got canceled because he didn't make weight.
Got canceled, bro.
Yeah.
And he got divorced. He got some heavy shit going on. You know what I mean?
In hindsight, I'm glad that fight didn't take place because Gabe was not. I didn't like Gabe was about.
He was Josue before Josue. I'll
Yes.
say that.
Yes.
For those that don't know, he was Josue before Josue, and that's a part of the divorce, or so I'm told. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Do you go to cruiserweight? If he goes to cruiserweight, every advantage that he's had is gone. You not big for cruiserweight, and you wasn't really a big puncher at 68. Like, he wasn't a big puncher. He was a volume puncher. He'll beat you down, but he wasn't a one-hitter quitter guy or really a power guy at 68 or 75. You go to cruiserweight, you in the shit now. A lot of them guys is basically heavyweights on a diet.
That's what I was about to say because like when Zerto rehydrates, he's just like slightly past the cruiserweight limit, right? More or less.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like,
and everybody else is up. Yeah. So
They just small heavyweights. That's it.
That's really like you like
keto.
Would you favor Zerto to beat J.O. Pataya? Would you favor Zerto to beat Richard Reactpour?
Hell no.
He couldn't beat his meat at cruiserweight, man.
Oh my god. Well, I didn't need that analogy.
Well, what else can he do? What else can he do at 175? Like, who else is at 175? Vosdick?
I mean, well, he's just gonna fight Vosdick for fighting unless he want to lose. Vosdick could beat him.
Yeah, Vosdick was looking sharp on his comeback.
Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. Who wins the fight?
Who you got?
I got Elon, man.
Is that really happening?
I mean, shit.
Who's
Elon
younger?
is pushing.
Who's younger?
Mark Zuckerberg is younger, but he's weirder. But
Yo, you know what I think?
Mark Zuckerberg ain't never balled up his fist. You can tell. Like,
I do not trust Mark Zuckerberg, bro. I've seen him in person, bro. If you stare him in the eye, bro, your head is gonna explode.
No, you'll turn to stone. You'll turn to stone.
He looks like that type of dude that might do that to you. Like, for
he
real.
Look like he got squirrels playing in his ass. He's just a weird looking guy, bro.
He is so spaced out.
He looks like he'll eat a
one of
live
those G.I.
squirrel.
Joe memes.
Like, he
That's
sees
what-
a
that's
squirrel
what he
like
is.
walk past a bench and he'll quickly grab it and eat it, and didn't look around like if anyone like anyone saw. It's that type of like sociopath.
Yo, you remember when they make fun of him in South Park? He might as well fight like that.
Guys,
Bro, he probably eat
I
mango with
have-
the skin on the shit, or like I could like on some alien shit. Like, he probably grab a banana and eat it with the skin on it.
His
bro.
human interface like forgets to like turn on.
So
and he
he's
just
like
starts eating
AI
bananas
before
with the
AI.
rind on. He just
Exactly.
starts eating bananas with the rind on.
Man,
His
Elon gonna be
human
having
interface doesn't turn on.
His hologram.
I think he's Dr. Manhattan.
No,
That's
wait.
it.
Wait. I have seen Mark Zuckerberg throwing hands, working in the past. I have seen it.
And MMA, yeah, but he ain't no bro. You look.
No. Wait. Let me tell you, he looks better than some of these rappers that they say they're for the street. That's all I'm saying. Elon Musk
He's better than a rapper.
I mean,
Wait,
Adam
hold on,
Silver-
Wait, hold on. Is this supposed to be an MMA fight or a boxing match?
I think it's an MMA fight.
Yeah. So
Wait, Leo, you're telling me that. Hold on. Wait. Leo, are you telling me that Mark Zuckerberg could beat up Rick Ross?
Probably. No. I mean, look. In all seriousness, Ricky Rose gotta have hands. He's a correctional officer, bro. He was in the shit. But no cap, but he was
he
a
looks
CO.
so slow,
He
though.
was.
Have you ever fought? Listen, Virtuoso. Have you ever fought a fat person? What do I say?
I have.
I'm telling. I'd rather fight some skinny, tall motherfucker any old day of the week than a fat person. Like, nah.
Hey, let me tell you.
Fighting
Hey,
a fat person feels like suffocating.
Fat people hit. They hit very hard. I'm telling you.
Without
they hit fucking
trying.
hard. Yeah, seriously. Like they hit. They can punch, man.
So the way I see it, all Elon has to do is target the body. You know, get a couple of jabs in there, get him to cover up hot, get him to raise his hands, put a couple shots under the elbows. He could win a fight, man. He could win a fight. Elon fat too. Like, it's not like Elon skinny. Elon got to be like 2 and change, right? 200 pounds, 224.
Yo, Elon got turtle shell abs, man. Just like Joe Rogan.
He's gonna get pinned.
Elon is built like Grimace from McDonald's. You remember
Elon
Grimace?
gonna get pinned, man. Watch.
Yeah, he gonna
Hey,
tap
you see
out.
the little picture Elon posted?
Nah, you know what? You remember, Jules? You remember the old Big Mac packaging?
Yeah.
Back in the day, the styrofoam. That's what it looks like.
Wow.
With arms.
Yeah,
With
that's
arms.
the shape. Yeah.
I don't know if they actually. Why do they want to fight? Is it just like some joke shit? Like, why does Elon want to fight this kid?
Yeah, it's all for shits and giggles. They ain't even got beef. Yeah.
Man, shit, man. If Jeff Bezos will whoop both their ass. Have y'all seen that guy? Jeff Bezos is jacked, my God.
HJH.
Cobra traps and all that. Cobra lats and all that. Swole as fuck. All that HGH. He doing it right.
The girl gave the eyes to DiCaprio and shit. That motherfucker went and got ripped.
I'm saying you gotta do what you gotta do. Sad part is she don't give a fuck about that shit.
Are you saying, Julius, that Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are ducking Joe Bezos fighting each other?
I think they are. I honestly think they are ducking him. Like, they don't want no problems with that guy, bro. That dude look like Lex Luthor. He don't look like Lex Luthor. Yeah. Superman.
He harvested the muscles of his hardest working Amazon workers and just implanted it into his body.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my God. Nah, man, but that shit is crazy. So we got this Spence and Crawford shit coming up, man. And now that Canelo is over there, the tone is a little different. That now I feel like, yeah, Terrence, you really have to knock this guy out.
He's not going to win a decision, yeah.
He's not winning a decision. Not with Canelo over there. We know that it was their desire to make Spence versus Canelo before. They offered Spence at a catch weight of 164, 165. And now that he's over there, bro, if you really think about it, Spence versus Canelo is a bigger fight comparatively than Canelo versus Andre. Yeah. It's a bigger fight than Canelo versus Charlo, too. So there's a fiscal incentive. That
would you say it's a bigger fight than him and Crawford?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Errol can draw to an extent. He can draw. So
I mean, I heard
Texas.
I heard. Yeah, exactly. If they fight in Texas, it's going to be. Are they going to fight in Texas?
I mean, I think they would at Jerry's house, definitely.
And they fill the whole stadium up, actually.
Yeah,
people want to see that shit. Like Errol's gonna jump up how many fucking weight classes?
Errol in his own work. Listen. Let's put it this way. Julio, you're a very smart guy. You know this. There is no fight at 154 for Errol that has the same financial value as the one that he's about to have. Think about it. What fight at 154 is equal to in scale to the Crawford fight? None. What fight at middleweight is equal to in scale to the Crawford fight? None. So why would you even bother to campaign at those weights? For what? To do what?
To me, it's like a free show. But I don't know if you guys can confirm this or not. But I heard that the odds for the Spence Crawford fight, they're like slightly like more in Crawford's favor now.
Oh, they've always been in Crawford's favor.
No, but I'm saying like it's increased. Like Vegas has increased their odds for Crawford.
Oh, really?
I mean,
yeah.
Why?
So we're from minus
that means that's where the money's going. That means that's where the gamblers are pushing those odds. Because I remember when the odds first opened up, for that fight. I think it was 3 years ago, maybe a little longer. Well, 2018. And when the line first opened up, Crawford was already the slight favorite. I did a video on it, which is why I know. He was already the slight favorite. And, you know, as the gamblers, I guess the gamblers are speaking, and they're telling us that, yeah, yo, we think Crawford's going to win. Which is not surprising. But, you know, that doesn't stop the Spence fans from trying to elicit arguments, pointless arguments. Let's go with unbiased shit. He keep clicking out.
Right. Yo, bro, the Spence fans are scared, bro. They know what's about to happen. So is the
They are, but at the same time, Crawford has to, like, you have to knock him out. Like, you have to. If there's even a chance that he gets off a salvo of punches and you're just covering up, we could be looking at a Rolly Romero stoppage, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think Bud knows what's at stake. He knows what he's got to do. He knows.
I hope so. He's got to stop that guy.
Hold up, you think they can disrespect Crawford and do a Rolly, do him like Barroso? I don't think that's gonna slide.
Not a fight of that magnitude.
Bro, they spent the last I don't know how many years.
Dude, come on.
If they can do it to Loma, they can do it to Crawford.
Well, Top Rank did it to Loma, I would say. But I guess what makes this different is, you know, that Canelo Alvarez versus Errol Spence Jr. at 165 around there, you could make a lot of money with that. And right now, what I see, the PBC's going to have a great year. That's what I see, that they're going to have a great year fiscally. They did what they did with Ryan and Gervonta. They're going to do what they're going to do with Spence and Crawford. They're going to do what they're going to do with Canelo's next fight. And they need a long-lasting change, because last year was horrible for them. You know what they're going through with Bob Backish and Paramount and the merger, and showing that this is good content, that you should keep investing in it, that don't get rid of boxing. That would be a good way to show them, they're like, look, we have big fights all the way into next year.
I think that's why they're doing this shit.
Yeah.
To save their asses. They have to. They're being forced to actually make fights now.
Yeah.
Before, they didn't have to make fights. They weren't.
Remember, they didn't guarantee Crawford anything last year. Yeah. Remember that? They didn't guarantee him anything.
Yeah, now it's like they are under serious threat, and this is not the same people that are giving them emails, calls, or whatever. It's new people. It's a lot of money. They're going to trim the fat. You know, I had a buddy on a show on HBO, and HBO the next year, it was a hit show too. It was produced by Eva Longoria. It was a family show. It got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But these people, when they do mergers, they come in, they trim the fat, they trim whatever the fuck they want, and they're not fucking around. They drop the show like that. So you've got no fucking choice but to start
the fucking John Bernthal guy. They had a remake of American Gigolo, a series.
They cut that shit too.
They cut that shit. There have been, and I don't know why so many of the Haymanites, they get mad at me for pointing out, okay, listen, there have been 2 rounds, not 1, 2 rounds of layoffs at Showtime. First was 120 employees. Then the second one was approximately 20 to 25 more percent of their staff, 20 to 25%. They've already cut several shows. You know, the lady, I forgot her fucking name. She already left anyway, and she said there's going to be belt tightening. So everything I'm telling you about what's going on over there and what they're saying, that anything that accounts for less than 10% of the overall viewership or subscribership of Showtime is getting the axe. That's not me being mean. That's not me being petty. That's reality.
And you gotta understand that a lot of these networks, 20% or less of their shows make up for 90 or 80% of their viewers. So there's a lot of fat to trim. And if they gotta start trimming some shit, fucking boxing is gonna go. If it doesn't do shit.
And that's what I'm saying, that when the reason that the conversation, you know, all that network stuff, we get into the boxing is because we know, especially based on last year's metrics, boxing accounts for less than 1% of Showtime's overall viewership. Less than 1% when you do the numbers. If the average card, based on what was going on last year, which is when I started talking about this, if the average card brings in between 200,000 and 400,000 homes, that is literally less than 1% of 27 million subscribers. That's less than 1%. And the guy, the Michael guy, Michael McCarthy or whatever his name is, he said anything that's under 10%, you know, we're going to shift the focus away from that. And they're going to focus on the content that works. So when you think about that, you do the numbers. Boxing is less than 10% of their viewership. So are they thinking about cutting it? And no, it's not outside the realm of possibility, because look at what happened with HBO. They left. HBO was the gold standard of boxing, and they left.
Yeah. Yo, Jules, I got to share one thing, man. I was at that press conference in New York when Spence said, like, yo, we got to show the suits, man, that we mean business, man, that we want support from y'all. So it's like, yo, if you're saying that, you're showing a bit of like worry about Showtime's future when it comes to boxing.
Wait, he said that?
I'm glad someone
Remember in the press conference, the second press conference, like, yo, let's show the suits. We can support the sport. Like, yo, buy the pay-per-view, please. And so, like,
you lying, Virtual.
Yeah, he got on stage.
He did say that. He did say that.
Did you see when he got on stage and he was shaking the cup? Like he was like shaking
about
the
we're gonna show him how boxing ain't dead, or in some words like that. Like, yeah, like.
Oh wow, I gotta, you know, because I didn't see all of it. I just caught the back and forth. I didn't see all of it, but I'm gonna go get that soundbite then, because that's what I'm. And look, I've been saying this over and over, but it's like people have selective hearing. I'm not rooting for anybody to lose their job. I'm not rooting for boxing to get booted off a platform. That's not good for the sport. It would shrink. I'm not, because it would shrink even further. Right now, what we're getting is not bad. I'm not a fan of PBC at all. But if I get to watch Canelo beat the shit out of Charlo, that's not a bad thing. I want that.
I'm paying for that.
I'm paying for that.
But Jules, if we keep bailing out these shitty promotions, like, boxing's not going to get better in the long term. Like, yeah, you put up one good year after fucking years of dog shit. Like, no, man, it's not good enough. Like, if they flare out, it's because they did bad business and you don't deserve to be here. I'm sorry.
I mean, they made their bed. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, but I don't. Let me read the super chat. Strength standards guys should reach in the gym. I'll say there is no standard. Everybody's body's different. I told this story once. I had a friend back home in New York. This dude was like a fucking animal on the bench, but he was a weakling on the pull-up bar. He couldn't do one. This guy could lift all type of crazy ass weight on the bench, but on the pull-up bar, he couldn't lift his own body weight. So I think everybody's different, and I think you just need to know what you want. Do you really want strength, or do you want muscle? Because depending on what you want, you have to train differently. If you want muscle, you don't have to use as much weight. You literally don't. You need to use a moderate amount of weight that you can control on the negative and the positive. That's not a specific number. It's specific to you, depending on how you're built and what you could take. I know guys, man, they're big, they're not strong. I know guys, they're small, but they're super strong in certain areas. They're strong at certain exercises. So you got to go in the gym and you got to figure out what your limitations are, because they really are unique to the individual. It's not the same across the board. Like, all the guys that are 5'10" need to be here and doing, like, no, it's different. It's different depending on the person. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like how punchers, like, you know, so they're born, not made.
Yeah, like it's different. Like, everybody's different. Like, I knew guys, like my friend, you know, he was super strong with free weights. Not strong on the bench. Not strong on the bench, but super strong with free weights. You know, any isolation exercises. You know what I mean? Super strong. He had very long arms. I don't know if that was a contributing factor, but he had very, very long arms. And I wonder, is that why he's not strong on the bench? Because his arms are very, very, very long? I don't know. Does that add to the strain? I don't know. And I noticed that when I was on my gym nut shit when I was younger, they're like, yo, everybody really is different. Like, everybody has different limitations, and, you know, it's specific to the individual. I can't tell you what your limits are. Your body could tell you that. I can't. You know what I mean? Mr. Calderon says, with Canelo signed, are the odds that Ferrari Flipper has another injury? I hope not. That would be hard.
But I don't think Canelo would want to fight him.
I mean, there's nothing in it but money.
I'm saying, like, he gets nothing out of it other than criticism. Oh, you fought a welterweight. Like,
yeah. I mean, but at the same time, there is a vocal minority that thinks. I get quote tweeted by these fucking mouth breathers. Spence's style and his, like, are you kidding me, bro? Are you fucking serious?
What style?
You saw him careening into the ropes after
Bro,
Ugas hit him.
this is
What do
like,
you think happens if
fam,
Canelo
this
hits
is
him?
yo. Do you know what he is? He's fucking Forrest Gump. It's just downhill pressure.
Oh, he beats everybody, man, according to them.
Sugar Spence, yo. Sugar Ray
Fucking
era.
squared feet, man. Come on, man.
It's no big deal if Canelo fights him in his third fight, especially if he beats Charlo and Benavidez. It ain't gonna matter at that point. It's a big money fight for him. That could be a next to Ride in the Sunset, then go back and fight the soon to be gatekeeper as his last fight.
Yeah. I mean, the sequence of fights that I think they have in mind for Canelo, I feel like they want to do Benavidez in May next year. I feel like they want to do that. And, you know, they could cap off the deal with Andre, kind of, but also you have to be mindful of Spence, that is a fight that they wanted to do. We know that. Tom Brown said that they offered him Canelo at 165. So it's in the background. It's something that they thinking about. So,
but you know, Butt's gonna ruin those plans.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope so.
I know so.
Because I've heard some people insinuate that them making this fight is cashing Errol out.
I think he'll fight Canelo regardless if he loses the fight or not. Like it doesn't matter.
You got to. Even if you don't think you can win, you got to take that fight. That's Mills, bro. Shit, you got to take that fight.
That's a lot of money. He's gonna make good money from this fight. He's gonna make the best money he's ever made.
I mean, other than trying to fight Canelo, what else does Errol want to accomplish in boxing?
And Errol knows when he loses, the boxing world is still be like, hey man, you went up against one of the greatest and tried. It's okay. Ain't nobody gonna be mad at him.
He dared to be great.
Exactly. And you know what? I'll agree to it because I'll say right now, I don't think he has any business in the ring with Canelo.
I think
it's just too
if
small.
Crawford knocks him out, the fight isn't going to be that interesting against Canelo, don't you think?
Hey, there was an interview last year where they were asking Canelo why he turned down that initial 100 mil plus 3-fight offer, and then he said, "No, I want to fight Bivol first, and then I definitely want my close everything out with Gennady. I like that's personal. I want to do that." And then he goes, "Hey, maybe next year, you know, I'll go to the PBC and then beat all of them over there." He said that shit in an interview last year.
And look at him now, man. He ain't running from no smoke.
I'm like, he actually did it. He wouldn't even say what he was going to do.
Well, yeah, but I mean, people tell you who they are, you know, like I think it was Cali who said it best. Canelo has a consistent track record of delivering the fights that people ask him to be in. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others, but he does have the track record that when Lara went up there and talked all that shit, he fought him.
Yep.
He fought him.
Yep.
He didn't run from him.
His whole career since he was a notable fighter, and this happens to a lot of guys, they continuously get called out. When he beat Amir Khan's trainer gets in the fucking ring and starts demanding that Canelo fight Triple G next. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about another fighter? Your fighter just got knocked out, and now you're talking like everybody and their fucking grandmother gets in there and starts talking about who he should fight and who he's ducking and who's this and who's that. There's always somebody. Always. And you're gonna sit here and tell me that
Andre Ward,
that Benavidez is a more dangerous fighter than prime Triple G? I don't fucking think so, man. Like that's
neither.
Horseshit.
And when you look at Canelo, every conversation that he got attached to, which is why I stopped, because I used to be very hard on Canelo. If you've been following this channel, I used to be a Canelo hater. But after a while, the dude made me a believer that whoever they wanted him to fight, he fought.
I'm with you right there, bro. I'm with you right there. When he fought that Rocky Fielding fight, I'm like, this guy's a fucking clown. You know, I thought it was a joke. But then he came back and he started winning some fights against some people.
Part of me hating Canelo was Oscar's marination policy. I think if Canelo had his way, maybe Canelo would have taken on Triple G if he had his way and not had.
But what I'm gonna say is this. What I'll say is I didn't actually have an adverse reaction to the Rocky Fielding fight because I always look at moving up in weight through the lens of Jorge Linares and Pablo Cano. That Jorge was a 3-division champion. Jorge was actually really good as a lightweight. He has some drawbacks, doesn't take the greatest punch. But he's a good fighter as a lightweight. He went up one division, one more, and he got trashed, bro, destroyed by a journeyman. Moving up in weight is not a game. So when I look at Canelo, I'm like, yeah, it's Rocky Fielding. I get it. But look at how little this guy is. You know what I mean? Like, you got to give him credit for that, because you have guys that have bigger physical dimensions than he does, like Benavidez, who's 6'2", light heavyweight frame. We all know he rehydrates to damn near cruiserweight, and he will not go to light heavyweight. He refuses. But this little 5'7", 5'8" man, this tree stump, he done fought 2 champions at light heavyweight.
Yeah,
you have fought none.
You know, I was really salty about the robbery with Triple G, the first fight.
Oh yeah, I was too.
I fucking hated Canelo. I was just like, this guy's a fucking asshole.
And the second fight is why I eased up on him.
Yeah, no. On the second fight, they both did so well. I thought it should have been a draw, or it could have gone either way, but a draw would have been I would have been very satisfied with the draw. But then I heard who made a really good point about that. I think it was Roy Jones Jr. that made a great point. He said, you called him out on Mexican style. He showed up. He gave you Mexican style. He backed you up.
Yeah.
And you didn't put up Mexican style. You fought and you lost. And that's what he said. I'm like, yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point.
No, I'll take it because before I said this yesterday, that when you're very successful, people tend to dehumanize you. And I feel like that's definitely what's going on with Canelo, in the sense that you're talking about a guy who was in there with unbeaten Trout, prime Lara, fought Floyd and lost, but still, he's there. He fought Floyd, fought Cotto, fought Golovkin, prime Golovkin. He obviously wasn't prime in the third fight, but this is a fighter that he fought 3 times. He fought Daniel Jacobs, who Charlo never fought, who Andre never fought. He unified the super middleweight division in 11 months.
What
more do we want?
I think that fight turned it around for me. The Jacobs fight. I thought he boxed beautifully, and I don't think he was really concerned about knocking Jacobs out. Both those guys took each other's hardest punches. I give credit to both, but the way Canelo was able to slip and defend and slip during that fight, I thought it showed a lot of heart and a lot of boxing showmanship. That was really good.
And I also thought he handled Jacob, which I thought was impressive. I did think it was impressive that he handled Jacobs with more ease than Golovkin did, because Golovkin had to go through the gears with Jacobs. Canelo slipping, rolling, and rodding, bobbing and weaving, countering. He looked fantastic in that fight. I'm like, I gotta give him credit that this kid is really doing it.
I need that version of him back. I would love to see that again.
I really would like that. I want him to use more pads. Like, I'm tired of pretending that the whole sport of boxing is not on pads. The whole sport is on pads.
Use more pads.
Use more pads, bro. Just do it, bro. Because this is to me, it's childish. Like,
I think they all use it, and the ones that have money, just hide it better.
Hey,
I think they all use it.
The easier question is the easiest question: who's not using? That's the simple question. Who's not using? That's the easier answer.
Exactly.
I can tell you who's not using it.
You
the
can
mummy,
use that big boy.
Rolly Romero, the mummy. The mummy.
Nah, bro. Hey, he's just using the wrong ones. That's all. They're giving him estrogen.
He's using the wrong.
No, he gets horse tranquilizers. What are you talking about?
They're giving him Ritalin is what they're giving him. He's on Ritalin. But like Canelo, like I was confident. Like, I never had a doubt that eventually he's going to get around to all these guys associated with the narratives, because that's what his track record showed. And that's what Cali, shout out to Cali X, a content creator here on YouTube. He said it, that Canelo has the track record that shows you that he will give you the fight that you ask him to be in. He did it with Lara. If you think about it, the Chavez conversation that, obviously doesn't get talked about anymore, but for a number of years, that was a real
for that.
Yeah,
there was a lot of criticism for not fight. Who's the best Mexican? Like, there was a lot of bullshit going around, and I'm like, why are you comparing the two? They're so fucking different. And then he took on a bigger guy. Chavez rehydrated to like 200 pounds. If you see that fight, he's fucking huge.
He's huge, and it's like when you stop and forget that it's Canelo and just look at it, it's like, yeah, eventually he's gonna get around to all these guys. And the parallel, which I said at the top of the show, that I see is, look, Manny looked old with Jeff Horn. You guys remember. But as soon as he got to the PBC And as soon as he started fighting their brand of boxer, he looked young again. And it's not because he found a fountain of youth, honestly, because there is no fountain of youth.
They're shittier
He
guys.
started shittier guys. They're not on the level. They never were. And I don't. What, Charlo's on the level? Really? What, Benavidez? Like, are you kidding me? So I honestly can't wait for it to start. I have him knocking out Charlo. I really hope that the second fight of the deal is the Benavidez fight, because I'm sick of the Benavidez's. I honestly like these guys are snake oil salesmen, man. You can't see that?
Some víboras. I think it is gonna be the second fight because that's why the David Morrell fight has died off.
Exactly.
Well, listen,
dude is
if that-
duck, bro. The Benavidez's, bro, they are ducks, bro.
Okay, if he beats Benavidez, let's just say he beats Benavidez, who's the next boogeyman they're going to put in front of him?
David Morrell. And
is that
He'll be the next
is that the new dick that Mirage is going to be sucking after that?
I think so. I mean, that's the new dick that I see. That's the new dick I see everybody sucking. And I'm like, look, I don't even think David Morrell is a bad fighter. But when you do this, you're not helping the fighter. This is a fighter with only 9 fights. We don't really know who he is yet. And you're only saying this not for love of David Morrell, but for hate of Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah. Because they don't know. Nobody could tell you that the last 5 fights Morrell's had. Like these guys, they're not going to be able to tell you that.
It's like the years ago, 2017, circa 2017, 2018. I'm like, man, if Rigo really had all these fans, then why doesn't he have any marquee value? And then that's when it dawned on me. These guys don't love Rigo. They just hate Loma.
Yeah.
They don't love Rigo. If they loved Rigo, Rigo would have more marquee value. You're only hyping him up because you hate this guy. Now, and with Canelo, it's the same shit. Like, what is there to hate, bro? He gives you the fights that you want to see. What is there to hate?
Oh, it's like the Davis fans that say the claims of the legitimacy of the championship is his, or the claims of all the accomplishments are his, and the countless times at the press conferences that they call him world champion and the face of boxing, and these people eat it up like it's fucking cereal in the morning. Honestly, they have no fucking idea what fucking propaganda they're buying into. They're just buying into.
No, I mean a lot of that is motivated by tribalism. The desire for the face of boxing to be an American-born fighter, but it all comes from insecurity. It's insecurity. It's like, what difference does it make? He's not really a 3-division champion for starters. If you're one of the guys who was saying that, for example, they used to say Gennady Golovkin broke Bernard Hopkins' record, which I never agreed with. No, he didn't. 5 of those fights were of a regular title, defenses of the regular title, not the super title, the regular title, right? All right, Gervonta Davis is not a 3-division champion. 2 of those belts that he holds are regular titles, not real titles. When he went to 140, Josh Taylor was literally undisputed at that time. So no, you're not a champion because you didn't beat Josh Taylor. The belt you have now at lightweight, that was a vacant title, a vacant regular title. They cooked up for you. They literally manufactured it for the Gamboa fight. At that time, you know who had the WBA? Loma. Y'all don't want him to fight these people. The people that do fight those people, you don't give them any credit. You just want us to view him as something that he isn't. It's a sickness. He's not a 3-division champion, bro. He doesn't even have a good lightweight resume. What is his lightweight resume? Gamboa. Hector Luis Garcia, super featherweight.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia.
Blown up featherweights, yeah. Khalil Santa Cruz, a 126 pounder. It's ridiculous. It's absurd to hype up a guy that has goods. I mean, if you guys believed in your guy as much as I think he believes in himself, it would be a different story. He would have 2 losses on his record right now. We'd have a really lit lightweight division. We'd have a lot of the guys mixing it up. But the problem is nobody wants to do it. Everyone's after a big payday. Some kind of payday.
It's protecting the O, because this is what's crazy.
I don't know.
This is what's crazy, and this is what they don't understand, because they're obsessed with a particular fighter or a particular era. If Gervonta went out there, for example, with Devin Haney, and he lost, but he gave it a good fight, his marquee value goes up, not down. It literally goes up. the most raw example is Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs started making money after he lost to Golovkin, not before. After he lost, started making money. He became more popular.
Yeah, because that fight was fucking nail tooth, like a nail biter. That shit was so close. It was like an orange
entertainment. They think it's the O.
Though, yeah.
They think it's the O.
He rocked Golovkin,
bro. They think it's the O that you have to focus. It's not the O. It's the show. If you go out there with Devin and you give it all you got, and maybe you drop him, but you lose. Yo, dog, your marquee value is gonna go up, not down, because people are then gonna know.
I'll take him seriously. I'll take him for real
seriously.
I'll take him seriously now.
Go out there with Shakur and you give, but it's just that I know. Look, in all seriousness, that would work with some situations. I honestly believe Shakur would handle him so easy that it would be embarrassing, and I feel like they know that, because many months ago, Floyd mentioned Shakur by name, saying, "No, you and Devin need to fight each other and just let Tank do his thing." You scared, bro? You scared? What are you telling me, that more people follow Isaac than Shakur? No, they don't. That people view Isaac as a better fighter than Shakur? No, they don't. Or Rolly or Ryan. Nobody thought Ryan was a better fighter than Shakur Stevenson. Who?
Some girls on Instagram.
Okay, it must have been them.
Let me say this. BBC has tried to do what UFC actually achieved. That is a monopoly. Not necessarily on the talent of the brand. And there is a reason that why UFC doesn't do cross-promotional fights with one or Bellator, because maybe all the UFC guys defeat all the one fighters of all the Bellator fighters. It doesn't matter. They cannot afford to do that. And they cannot afford to put on risk their fighters for the sake of the sport, because for me, MMA as a sport is the ability to a fighter to achieve greatness is impaired, because there is no unifications, because from the promotional companies, they cannot be real sports if you don't have free ranks.
No. UFC is they use it as the gold standard of MMA, which I understand. However, the talent pool of the UFC roster is not akin to the talent pool in boxing, because the talent pool in boxing is quite literally global. It's global. It's everywhere. You got junior middleweights from Russia. You got junior middleweight from right here in America. Another one from Australia. And it just goes on. And it's a sea of fighters. It's literally an ocean of fighters. Whereas at UFC, you just got whatever guys UFC has. Whatever guys they have under contract. So if you see a UFC fight, it's not the best of the best. It's the best of UFC versus the best of UFC. Because you ain't fighting risen fighters, right? No. And you're not fighting K1 fighters, right? No. And I'm not that Bellator fighters are all that, because they actually aren't. But it's like that. Like you're just everything like you're doing.
You ever wonder like if there was like more cross promotion, and then you have like these isolated like sanctioning bodies in MMA?
There's no incentive right now, because the brand is more important in this moment.
Like if MMA resembled like boxing, structural system.
What happens with MMA mostly is that they in UFC they try to sign the better fighters.
Yeah.
So their pool of talent is really rich. Whereas, if you're not as great or what they're looking for, you will end up in another promotion. So
sports, you know how sports are. Sports, it's any given fight on any given night, right? So I saw the Mighty Mouse guy, after he left UFC, and he fucking lost, bro. He fucking lost the fight he wasn't supposed to lose.
Yeah.
Any given night, bro.
It happens.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That dude was like kicking everybody's ass for a long time, man. I'm surprised.
You know what?
Exactly.
They was hyping up this guy. I forgot his name. He had this blonde hair. He almost looked like a young
I
version
know
of
who
a
you're
guy
talking
from
about. That fucking kid. I know exactly.
Yo, he fights like it's like yo. When he wins, he's posing like it's a fucking Power Ranger.
He
And I'm
looked
like,
like he
yo,
belonged to. You know, Julio, what's this fucking guy?
Sage Northcutt.
Yeah, I hate his fucking name. Who named
my
that
God.
prick?
Yo, as soon as they got the one FC, bam, got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah,
he sounds like a douchebag. Like, God, your parents must be like huge.
My man, this guy is the Chuck Norris wet dream.
Bro, he looked like the kid from Sage Northcutt, bro. Are you fucking kidding me, bro?
Yeah.
That sounds like something you. That sounds like something you
And
order
they
at
try to-
Starbucks.
You know, they try to bundle him with fucking Paige Van. You know, like it's
The
like they're
salad,
gonna
bro.
bring the
It's a salad.
fucking the UFC at the CW. Like, come on, man.
It sounds like someone tried to
Yeah,
say
he
a
was a
military
bust.
term and messed it up.
Yeah, he was part of that Team Spirit UFC movement. Get out of here.
You know, like he looks like he belongs in an episode of Twilight, like Sage Northcutt.
Hey, man, he snuck into the UFC during the hashtag Me Too movement. That's why.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember they were invested in that kid. You could see that they liked the look of him because the kid had an aesthetic and they felt that he was marketable. But when they put him in there, he got fucking destroyed,
I
bro.
mean, it happens. It happens a lot with it in the short span of the UFC. We've seen it happen, and one of the biggest ones in my memory, and that will always stand out, is the Ronda Rousey shit.
Yeah,
the
Ronda Rousey.
shit was fucking horrifying because
The kick
you know what?
heard around
She was
the
a national.
world.
She was a national jiu-jitsu champion.
No, judo.
What the fuck? I mean, judo,
World
and then they put her on the cover of Ring magazine
medalist,
over
too.
after training for a year.
What the reason I don't use her is because by the time that Holly Holm destroyed her, she was already wildly successful. Already, like if you think about it, it's not like you got beat on the way like Sage Northcutt. You know what I mean? Like, nah. She was pop. She was it already, bro. She was it.
Before her downfall, she was,
one of the most.
Yeah, Sage
Yeah,
never
but you
even
gotta
got to a
admit,
step up. He never even got to a step up fight.
No.
Exactly. Like she got a lot of cans beforehand. Like I don't see like probably like what Castigano or who else is like.
Yeah, but that wasn't her fault though, because women's MMA was so early. Like,
Yeah, the talent pool was
once they open
shallow
up
at
the
that
talent
time.
pool, you know, you're gonna see the gap in skill.
at that time, like the only other top girl was really Cyborg, but Dana White had like issues with her, so that was never gonna happen.
But the Auto Triangle Series also work in the UFC because while Holly beat Ronda beat Misha Tate. Misha Tate beat Holly.
Yeah, that's just
She'll be forever known or linked with the kick heard around the world, though, man. When she got hit in her jaw with that kick from Holly Holm, man. Woo!
I mean, I don't think there's any shame in it because Holly is. I think Holly's one of the greatest in combat, male or female. She's actually one of the GOATs. Like she competed at the highest levels in women's boxing. She competed at the highest levels in mixed martial arts. She does come from a kickboxing background. You gotta respect that. Like she's one of the few fighters that can say, "I have been a champion, a real champion, in both sports."
She has a nice
respect
ass.
that. I got big respect for Holly.
I want to finish my point. What I really think is, if nobody wants to be associated with a brand that is composed with a bunch of fucking losers, and PVC might be that. If you would put a 4th or 5 of the best PVC fighters against another guys from other promotional companies, you might have 4 or 5 defeated fighters.
Yeah.
And after a while, some of this, I always have the impression that every time a guy that is a follower of Spence, of Charlo, of Wilder, or any of those guys, they're really a fan of the brand.
Yes.
I don't see that with, for example, for top rank guys like Lomachenko, Devin Haney. They're not praising the brand; they're praising the fighter.
Yes.
So PBC in that regard is doomed. They cannot do what we ask him to do, to make more cross promotional fights, because at the end of the day, if all these motherfuckers lose, they might don't have a brand to attract people to watch their fights.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Yanni Beck versus Charlo right now, who wins?
Yanni Beck.
And I don't even think Yanni Beck is all that, but I mean, like, if they fought right now, if that were next, oh, Yanni Beck ices him, man. Ices him.
He's been active.
Yeah, I mean,
Canelo doesn't. There is no shame to lose to. There is no shame to losing to Canelo, especially because Canelo is now signing with the PBC. But Canelo is more of a free agent. He's a name of himself. But if you associate, for example, Gervonta Davis versus Vasyl Lomachenko, if Gervonta Davis loses against Vasyl Lomachenko or Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson, if fucking David Benavidez was to lose against a guy like, I don't know,
Mobility or somebody.
Yeah. Even fucking Jamal Charlo, if he loses to Tim Tszyu, I don't think they can recuperate from that. I don't think nobody is going to fuck with PBC, because those guys they want to see winners. They're not fan of really of the sport. They're fan of the brand.
Well, I mean, like, there is a component there that we don't often broach because it's a bit taboo, and it's the lens that Al Heyman is viewed in. They believe that people are against Al Heyman for any reason other than his business practices. This is what they tell themselves, because I literally got comments about it yesterday that, oh, you just hate Al Heyman because it's a black-owned business. That's what the conversation devolves into.
Bullshit, though.
And it's bullshit. Like, I can sit here and go down an itemized list of reasons why I've not been a fan of the PBC, but it goes in one ear and out the other. They don't want to hear that. So it's like, well, then what the fuck is the point in having a conversation about it? You might as well just believe whatever you want to believe. If I say that he's the one who told Peter Quillen to vacate the WBO title years ago to avoid the Matvey Korobov fight, right? You know, that's going to go in one ear and out the other. I'm like, you've been doing that for years. The reason that Guillermo Bergandiao never got the Leo Santa Cruz fight, in Leo's own words, was Al Heyman didn't want to do it. It's his own words. But it's, again, in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The truth doesn't matter, because if it don't fit
in a nutshell,
if it doesn't fit
there's
the narrative,
literally, you know, I'll say Oscar De La Hoya was in the process of making Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Leo Santa Cruz. They'll say Oscar's a cokehead. Oscar's a cokehead. Yes, so's David Benavidez, but you still like him. The point is, Leo Santa Cruz confirmed everything Oscar said, that they were in the process of doing that fight, but Al Heyman didn't want to do it. And it's all these different instances like this that I can bring up, that this has been my beef with Al Heyman, that you get in the way of fights. If you're all of a sudden now not getting in the way of fights, awesome. But that doesn't change what you did in the past. Doesn't change that. You did get in the way of a lot of fights. It's just the truth. And that has always been my beef with Al Heyman. That's what the beef has been. But if you let some guys tell it, it's a tribalism thing.
Yeah. Like, why did Beyonce cancel him? Like, is that because she was hating on a black-owned business?
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
Well, and that's where you hear the infamous, "Oh, the hate is real." No, it's not. We're telling the truth.
Well, I don't think he just manages the whole thing very well at all. I
don't either.
I don't think he manages his fighters. I don't think he really cares about a lot of the fighters on his roster. And I mean, does he even go to the fights? You never see him. He's infamous for that.
I think he's got the Phantom of the Opera. You know what I think? I think he's got the Phantom of the Opera thing, to where he's somewhere up there in the rafters with a mask on.
But also, I heard this wasn't even his primary business. He kind of took this job. He was in the music industry. And if you're old enough to remember, the record executives and the music executives from back in the day, they were fucking snakes in the grass.
Of course they were. They still are.
They were all sacks of shit, and anything they deal with turns into poison, or it turns into money just in their pocket They don't really care. One of the most disturbing things I ever heard was a guy like what's his name? The little Floyd wannabe. Broner saying that he's getting paid weekly checks.
Stipends.
Yeah,
allowance. Like
an allowance.
Take out the trash.
What the fuck was that all about?
He's got to wash all the cars in the Heyman compound. Wash all the cars.
They gotta detail the cars.
No, but I think unless you have an advisement deal, unless you have
he gets to play PS5 for an hour on Sunday if he watches.
Here you go, Mr. Heyman. I shot a grill for you.
Yeah, I think like Leo Santa Cruz lives in a cage in Al's office.
White walls.
He just throws a blanket over it at nighttime.
I wouldn't be surprised if you walk into the Heyman compound and right there in the living room is Leo Santa Cruz in a cage with like a collar and a chain on it, drinking out of a water bowl.
And
he just throws a blanket over it at nighttime.
He'll
go to sleep,
bro.
If you go, he has an aquarium and Errol's in there swimming.
He's dressed like a mermaid, bro.
He's got the mermaid bottoms on.
Merman.
He like Errol pops his head out and starts squeaking like a dolphin.
He starts talking to dolphins.
He's got the Charles.
Do you want a fish, buddy?
Like Ryan?
Throws him a fish.
Oh shit! He's got Keith Thurman somewhere propped up in a bird cage. He makes cawing sounds.
Now he's like one time.
Yo, this shit is.
You got Leonard Ellaby. You got old Lenny.
What's that movie with Brando where they go to the island and they got all like the beasts and shit?
The island of Dr. Monroe or
the island of Dr. Monroe, bro. The island of Dr. Heyman, bro.
No, he has Jermel Charlo in a lion cage, like a lion's den.
He's got him on a hamster wheel, bro.
Oh my god.
He's got
the line.
He has like an enrichment. He has an enrichment ball.
He got Leonard Ellaby in a fucking gimp costume, like in fucking Pulp Fiction.
You know what I'm saying? I would not be at all surprised if
he's in a box.
If you open a Nike box in a Heyman compound, Abner Mares is in there drinking water and shit.
He's got Pitbull Cruz in a doghouse in his backyard, bro.
Oh my god!
He's got fucking like right now. J-Rock is probably in some wood shavings right now. You know what I'm saying? Eating little pellets and shit right now, man.
Crazy.
I kind of feel bad for J-Rock though, man. This unfortunate.
Look, man, I'm gonna be. I'll say this: it's not on J-Rock, but one thing that has been annoying the last 2 years is that there's recency bias in boxing, right? So the last 2 years, I've been seeing a lot of people praise Breadman as a trainer. And it's not that I'm against it. It's that I was wondering, well, who did he train that he's amassed this reputation? You know, like what's the fighter that he trained to where he's supposed to be this great guy? And I never really got a straight answer. And I feel like yesterday was confirmation of what I already thought. They're like, yeah, I did this with Ronnie Shields. Y'all think that people are dumb. Yeah, he trained Tyson for 10 seconds, bro. It's not fucking Kevin Rooney. Y'all talking about like he was with Tyson for the Bruno fights.
You got Maui Wowie, Mike Tyson.
Didn't Tyson.
You got smoked out, Mike Tyson, fight, right? Bro. Come on.
Yeah. So I felt, you know, because I saw the surgence of Breadman, which I have nothing against. It's not about him. It's just that they were talking about him the way they was talking about Ronnie, and I'm like, oh, this is the Ronnie Shields shit all over again, to where y'all just talking him up. Like, he don't have a body of work. And it's kind of like what we saw with Ben Davison after the first Fury and Wilder fight. They're like, okay, he had, you know, good trainer. He's not trainer of the century, bro. Chill. And you know, they did that with Sugar Hill Stewart after the second Fury fight. Like, chill, fam. Fury did good, and that's cool. But we don't know that Sugar Hill has this kind of success across the board. And look, if you've been paying attention, no, he hasn't. He hasn't. Jelena Marjanovic looked horrible in the last two fights. Who was the fighter yesterday that one of his fighters got
Kownacki.
Kobnowski got the shit beat out of him, you know, and I didn't want him to lose. I wanted him to win.
Okolie just lost.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's just it's that boxing really has a serious recency bias problem. And that's kind of what I felt about Breadman, that I'm like, y'all just talking him up with no basis in reality. Who did he train that he's amassed this reputation? Because he seems to have this reputation, but I don't know what it's based on. And I felt like yesterday the chickens came home to roost. You know, that's how I felt like.
But fellas, did y'all realize that the guy that beat Kaneki, Joe Kusamano, Come Shot, yes, that name was so familiar. It was familiar to me, and it's like, why do I know this guy? So I fought for the research, and I got it. Daniel Dubois knocked him out in around 2 years ago in the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley undercard.
Yep. Same card Montana Love blew up on.
Yes, did him in a round. It was that. Yeah, it was
Y'all seen he pulled out of the Richardson Hitchens fight, right?
Yeah. He got cold
with an injury.
I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying that shit. I don't buy it.
You know what else he said? He said that they tried to give him the Subriel Matias fight. Like, they're trying to make that fight for him, and Matias's promoter got in the way of it. Yeah. This shit is not.
I'm sure Matias is somewhere in Puerto Rico shaking in his boots over Montana Love.
But I heard the real reason he pulled out is because
it was Richardson Hitchens. Like, they were trying to make him fight Richardson Hitchens. And his promoter got in the way of that.
Montana Love's little dog. That's why.
That boogeyman shit is over with in my eyes.
I'm not buying it though.
No, do you buy it though?
Bro, why would he avoid that fight?
No.
He's in the IBF rankings. Could have satisfied a mandatory.
I'm just saying, bro, like Subriel is not a game out here, bro.
I know, Jules, I was saying I don't buy that Love is injured. So
I don't buy not at all. I think he's just trying to extend his career, if anything.
Yeah, because we all know.
Like, I had Richardson Hitchens beating him, bro.
So did I. Yeah. No love, baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me no more. Like shit. Like, he's gonna lose that fight, bro. He if anything, hey, go run it back with Stevie Sparks then. You know, if you're not gonna fight Richardson Hitchens.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. What else is he gonna do?
If Sparks just lost, so it's like might as well, right? Yeah. You do it again with him. So
shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. I'll be right back.
No love.
I have the impression that every time Julius go to smoke a cigarette,
what was your question?
He's actually training Jason Quigley.
See, I was right.
Funny that every time that Julius goes to smoke a cigarette, you can see in the zone fucking Andy Lee working on the beds. I think you're into something.
So I wonder where Rolly is in that scenario with Al on Al's Island.
We're obviously going to use him for something. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he's a Mayweather Promotions.
No, he's in a Bugatti on the front porch.
Yeah, either that or they got him in the dog run and he's running around in circles or something.
Now they got him in a straitjacket in the room. You go in there. Hey, yeah. Oh, sorry, my bad.
You know what I thought about? This may work out if Showtime is able to stay lasting. It's best for PBC just to be top heavy because they don't do great on development, but they good when you become a star. Top Rank is great at development, but don't know how to handle a star when they become a star. If they can effectively do this type of have these type of results year in and year out, I wouldn't have no issue if it was Top Rank and Showtime doing what they're doing as of right now. If they did 2023 every single year, will we have any complaints?
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't care who makes the fight or who does the
fight. Exactly. So this is a good year. So I would like I guess it's best for them to perform under pressure. So they should have pressure on them every single year to perform. And if they have pressure to perform every single year and they get these results, and Top Rank does what they're doing with ESPN and giving the fights that they've given this year, you add it together. That's what's great for boxing. So that's what I would want to see. So I hope they can do it for 2024. Do the same shit. Be under pressure and perform because they're performing under pressure. That's why we got to give them credit. So they obviously got to be under pressure and perform.
The PBC credit this year, this time around because
Melo chose to go over there. He goes where he wants. If he doesn't go there, Are they performing under pressure without getting this Canelo deal?
Well, I mean, it just made sense though to make that deal. I mean, it was just timing, and it's working out to their favor. I mean, it's a common sense move. It's no surprise that this is happening. The foreshadowing was already made, and if you look at what was available at this point in time for Matchroom and the Zone, it just made sense for Canelo to go fight these guys. These guys, that's what they are. These guys, they're not legacy fights. They only enhance his legacy, but they're not legacy fights in their own right, and people keep on confusing it. When you look at all these guys that everybody's talking about, they're just another guy, bro. If you look at Canelo's resume and look at that, they're just another guy.
He already has a Hall of Fame career, and he already had legacy fights.
No, but it ain't even about just that. It goes deeper than that. Can you name 3 fighters? Can you say for certain that any of these guys would be his top 3 fight?
No.
3 opponents. Exactly, just another guy.
He's already had those fights. Like
Aaron Baker, DAZN ain't going nowhere. They got a lot of other sports that they cover. They're not going anywhere, man. Trust me.
They're not having the best of years, and they need to do better, and that's okay. It is what it is. Because last year and this time we were saying PBC got to do better. They looking like they're in trouble. They ain't got no fourth quarter budget. What's going on? These are questions that happen. Everything is always fluid and circulating. So they're having a great year. Good. I want to see them all have great years. If they all have great years, it's good for boxing. If they suck, then I got to talk about it.
Yeah, if all of them have good years, it's great for us, because if I want to see a really good year for PBC, because we're gonna get get great fights this year. I can already tell. Like they're aiming for it. That's their main objective now, is to have actual fights that are going to draw some numbers and some fans. That's one thing. With ESPN, you know, there's still a lot of things that can happen over there. I don't think this retirement from Teal is the real thing. I think he's just saying that because he needs to get his divorce done and over with.
Well, that he just wants a gaggle of money too on top.
Yeah. As soon as that shit is over, and it might be a year. As soon as that shit's over, after the litigation is over, and after the woman gets what she wants, he's gonna sign a deal with somebody, and he's gonna get to keep all that fucking money. So that's that. So that's still going to be good over there.
Well,
and whatever happens in the Zone,
he could do it and come back and still have a career though too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All he has to do is take about 8 or 9 months off, and that's kind of normal for anybody anyway right now, and finish his whole legal proceedings. And once that's done, he's going to get back in the ring. You know, so I think another thing.
By the way, sorry to interject, but the gentleman talking right now, what's your name, sir?
Oh, me?
Yeah, yes, you.
Oh, I'm just Don Madrazos.
Don Madrazos.
Okay, good to have you on, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So the way
I just wanted to say this. I read through the comments because I rarely look at the chat unless there's a super chat. While me and Madrazos was talking about the network stuff, and that Aaron S. Baker guy was losing his shit over that, bro. Like I just went back up and scrolled up. He was losing his mind over that.
Over what?
It's like, when we were talking about the downsizing, it showed like he acts. I know I've seen this guy before because he followed me from Ring IQ Facebook over to YouTube. So he's been following me a while, and he has these like micro aggressions that he'll get really upset whenever something is said about PBC and Showtime. And I'm like, this is what I mean. That what I'm talking about is not an opinion. This is happening. There have been 2 waves of layoffs at Showtime. There have been budget cuts. There has been downsizing, and they are literally trimming the fat. If what you guys say is true, what Virtuoso said, because I didn't even hear that Errol said, you know, we have to show the suits that boxing isn't dead. It's like I just don't understand. Like I don't know.
That wasn't on camera, was it?
Does it?
Yeah, no, it's Julian. It's like equivalent to telling a woman that the pay gap isn't real. You know, it's like you just no, it's not. No, oh my God, no. You're misogynist.
Patriarchy.
Hey, that's your first warning, bro. Let's keep him above the belt. You know what I'm saying?
It's just the same shit. It's like, no, the patriarchy isn't real. No, it's real. No, we're oppressed. Oh, we're victims. You know, it's just like, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. If you, what is this fucking? Is he paying his bills? Is Al Heyman paying his fucking bills?
Well, he seems to think
listen,
that
any
DAZN will do
video
away with boxing, but they're not.
This is what I've maintained. I never said indefinitely that they're going to do away with boxing. I've always maintained boxing is in jeopardy. Yes, it is. If you saw that the gold standard in HBO eventually walked away from boxing, and bear in mind they walked away at a time when they did good metrics with the two Golovkin and Canelo fights. They literally did 800,000 viewers for a women's boxing match, which was the final show that they had on HBO. It was Breakus versus somebody, I forget who, but they actually did better numbers than the average numbers that Showtime has been doing, and they still ended up leaving the sport. All I'm saying is that you have to entertain that possibility, and he gets so fucking offended, like he starts clutching his no, it's Showtime, no, the Zone is going to walk away from boxing, the Zone.
Well, he seems to think because Berlanga versus Triple G that the Zone's going to do away with boxing because that's the biggest fight they got.
We're not getting that fight.
I don't think so. You know, I mean,
I don't think that fight is even about to happen.
The Zone has a lot of other sports, and they're going to be around in boxing, even if they're not doing great. You know,
the thing is that the Zone is not the outfit that just had two waves of layoff. It's like it literally goes in one ear and out the other. Layoffs are not a good sign. That's all I'm saying. Like, what do you live under a rock? If a company goes through two waves of layoffs, and the higher ups are saying, yes, there's going to be belt tightening, there's going to be downsizing, you're getting mad at me for mentioning it?
See, this is what happens when you become a whore for brands. It to me it debilitates your critical thinking skills.
And look, never mind. See, this is the childish response, right? He's saying that now the best fight on DAZN that they can put together, right, is Berlanga versus Triple G. So I guess you didn't hear that they're trying to do Joshua versus Wilder towards the end of the year. You know nothing about that. And I've never mentioned it here on this channel that you watch literally every day. I've never.
But guess what? He's gonna feel real smart when this fight doesn't happen. Watch.
I mean, no, the thing is that maybe it does happen, maybe it doesn't. The disconnect is you saw the year that Showtime had last year. You saw that it was a horrible year for them last year. They're having a great year this year, but you're only saying what you're saying because you're angry about what we're talking about. It's a microaggression. You're angry. Whenever Heyman is brought up, these guys act like you're talking about their fucking father. It's so weird, bro.
Listen, I have a suggestion for you, and literally, you've got to do this. Can you perhaps make a list of trigger warnings for all these fuckers before you do a fucking show? It's just like
you know what? I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna go into my graphics. I'm gonna tell my graphics guys, which is basically me again. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna come up with like a font like this. But it's gonna be like a trigger. It's gonna be like a trigger.
I was just about to ask you to put that shit up. I swear to God.
It's gonna be like a trigger warning that what I'm about to say may disturb you.
Exactly. If there are any open windows, please attempt to close them and step away.
The Jew trying to look through the letters and shit. What the fuck are you doing, man?
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna be like, what I'm about to tell you. I want you to sit down before I say what I'm saying. I hope there's a chair in the room because these
like
guys.
The official bat signal of the channel, you know.
I'm gonna come up with another font, and it's gonna be like a trigger warning. Like this may trigger you because the way this guy reacts over Al Heyman, honest to God, he doesn't know how bizarre it is. You can just tell that he is enthralled. That whenever you say something about Heyman. And whatever you say something about Showtime, I've even played clips from Yahoo News in reference to the downsizing that what I'm talking about is real, you understand? And you're angry at me just for talking about it. And your retort is, no, the Zone is going to, the Zone is not the ones that just had two waves of layoffs.
And you know what's funny? And another big piece of evidence, man, like y'all can research this if you want. It's too easy. When a merger happens,
The point of a whole fucking point. The matter of fact, let me stop. Back up. The only reason a company does a merger is because when the two companies, one of them is failing, so someone's gonna bail them out, and there's a deal being made. That's what the point of a merger is, because one of the two is failing, and it's not Paramount. Guys.
It's a bailout, and it's not a government bailout, because government bailouts, you can continue doing the same dumb fucking shit you were doing from the beginning. But when it's a private entity that's publicly funded, that's publicly traded, like Showtime, they're publicly traded. People buy shares of Showtime. People buy shares of Paramount. They don't want to fuck with you.
You know what a merger is? You're standing in the boat. You look at dude in the water struggling. He's drowning. You reach down and grab him and pull him out. That's a fucking merger with companies.
It's amazing to me how obtuse. It's amazing to me how obtuse. Not just him, because he's not the only one. Because I've brought this up on more than one occasion. I think I've done a total number of about 5, maybe 6 videos addressing the stuff that's out there. You know, just putting it all together. And it's news, bro. You're getting offended by news that is literally out there. You want me to not say anything? Would that make you feel better?
Claiming DAZN had a bailout.
DAZN had a recapitalization. That's not a bailout. The guy who put up the money for it, he put up more money for it. That's you're talking about Len Blavatnik. This is what I mean. It's like, yo, you can't be real. You're a fucking cartoon. You cannot be a real person.
You know what he is? You know, it's probably Al in disguise.
Maybe he's related to Al. Maybe the A in Aaron S. Baker is for Al Heyman.
You know, listen, they're treating this guy like he's a social justice warrior, like he's a Martin Luther King. And you know what? If I treated, because I'm Mexican, if I treated Oscar de la Hoya like that, you guys would fucking laugh. You guys would think about fucking nut job. You guys would, how dare you say anything about the Mexican god, Oscar de la Hoya? He's freeing the people from the fields picking fruit. We want reparations.
He doesn't know. You know what's crazy?
I want free fruit for the rest of my life. Somebody to mow my lawn.
I want free strawberries.
I want free strawberries forever.
Listen, he doesn't know what he doesn't know,
dude.
I'm only using 25% of my powers when I address the Heyman situation, because if I addressed it 100%, he would hate me. Like, I think he hates me already. But he would hate me if I said what I'm thinking, because I'm like, you can't be this obtuse. What do you think? Al Heyman is a civil rights leader? Are you turning this into a civil rights issue?
I mean, look, I overheard in the Twitter spaces that, Al Heyman donates to HBCU colleges, man, them black colleges. And I say, like, dude, so what? That's a tax write-off.
It's not, like, awesome, bro. Like, that still doesn't make anything that we're talking about a civil rights issue. But that is the realm, that is the arena where the conversation seems to happen, at least in his own mind, because he believes, underneath it all, he believes that the only reason we criticize Al is because of tribalism, because we don't criticize Oscar, right? Right? I didn't criticize Bob. I don't criticize Bob for Better B versus Bivol, right? I don't criticize the WBC for their stupid stance on the crisis in the Ukraine and Russia. As soon as he acts like you're supposed to play with kid gloves on when it comes to Al, we don't do that for anybody else. Why would I do that with Al? You answer that question.
Mauricio Suleiman's an opportunistic piece of shit.
On Oscar for doing a 20-mile line.
Yeah, Suleiman's a scumbag. He's a scumbag.
If I talk about how ridiculous Oscar De La Hoya is in a 7-minute segment, no complaints. If I talk about how ridiculous Mauricio Suleiman is in a 7 to 8 minute segment, no complaints.
You know what my complaint is? Hold on. You know what my complaint is? That's not long enough.
I should do 16 minutes. But if I sneeze in the direction of the PBC, this guy
Jules. Now, Jules, you crossed the line. You went too far now.
You went too far.
Yeah, but you know what? He ain't the only one, though, Jules. There's other people.
Oh, no. I only brought him up because I was scrolling through the comments while I was smoking just to see what everybody's saying or whatever. And I didn't even notice that, he's in the comments losing his mind over that shit. Like, he's so offended. Like, what are you offended about, bro? Nothing that I said is an opinion. It's a fact. There were layoffs. There was downsizing. Shows got cut. The damn executives themselves said there's going to be belt tightening. Things are going to get hard. We're going to reallocate resources to anything and everything that accounts for less than 10% of our overall viewership. We're going to reallocate resources away from it. I didn't even know that Errol said that till Virtuoso said, yeah, we got to show the suits that boxing ain't dead. What suits? What suits are you talking about, Errol? Is it the same suits that are behind the downsizing so that Aaron could get upset at us for even mentioning it?
Dude, that guy's come across with whack comments before to me, man, in the chat at times, man. So
no,
yeah.
I see him, and he's one of these guys. He's a hate watcher. I know that he doesn't like me or this channel, but he's one of those guys.
He's here.
Yeah. He's been, bro. I'm telling you, I started Ring IQ on Facebook in 2015, right? 2015. I got it up to approximately 85,000 members, but then I wanted to trim the fat because I noticed a lot of them were racists and trolls. So I got it down to 50,000, around 55,000. Anybody says anything racist, you're out of the group. No questions asked. I had rules, all this different stuff. Doesn't matter what it is. If you can't discuss boxing in a civilized way, you're out of the group. He was one of the people in the group. That's why I know who he is. And he made a video or whatever one time, and I'm not gonna lie, I embarrassed him. I made him feel bad, and he's been following me ever since. And it's like, I know you're not following me because you like what I'm saying. You're waiting for me to be wrong about something, which, yeah, I'm human. Of course I'm wrong about some things. But this is not a fight forecast. You understand? I'm literally relaying information to you that other channels are not talking about. The Showtime and Paramount merger. And how that may affect the boxing. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. Because when you say that we're not going to focus on anything that accounts than less than 10% of our viewership, that's boxing. Yeah, that's boxing. Do the math. If the average card draws between 200 and 400,000 out of 27 million viewers, that is literally less than 1%. What, you don't like me talking about that? Am I supposed to talk? Am I supposed to treat Al Heyman? Hey, Aaron, do you want me to treat Al Heyman differently than I treat Oscar? Is that what you're waiting for? Preferential
one of the
treatment?
reasons why I follow you is because you know how to break down boxing's political economy. So,
yeah,
give yourself a round of applause for that, man.
For real.
Hey, man.
Where's the applause button at? There you go. There you go. There you go.
You don't just talk about fighters, but you talk about behind the scenes, politics, like promotional like everything that the whole scope of boxing. You know what I mean? That's what this channel is, and what these.
Aaron wants me to treat, in a nutshell. Aaron wants me to treat Al Heyman differently than I treat everyone else. He wants me to treat him like he's special. Say I'm wrong, Aaron. Say I'm wrong. Did I lie about something I said about Al? No. I don't lie when I say anything about Al. When I said he blocked the Rigondeaux fight, I didn't make that up. That's not even me connecting dots. Leo said that, you dumb motherfucker.
He says no.
Leo
He
sent to Crew.
Hey, Jules, he says no. He kicked me out after the Joshua versus Ruiz fight after I called his followers sycophants.
That's not true because I wasn't on Facebook when Joshua lost to Ruiz, so he's lying. I stopped using Facebook. This is what I'm telling you. It's a sickness. I'm not joking. When Joshua lost to Ruiz, I stopped being in the Facebook boxing groups. I focused on YouTube. You can literally go to the videos I was doing. I was focusing on YouTube at that time. I didn't kick you out of anything. And brother, you have to lie about stuff like that is
matter of fact,
amazing.
Jules, wait, hold the phone. Hold the phone. Wait, Jules, I know one way to settle this. Drop a link. Have him come on.
Yeah, I mean shit.
Yeah. Come on down, Aaron. You got a lot to say. Let's get it. Come on, man. We'll be quiet.
Let me post a link right here for Aaron so he can give me a piece of his mind.
Come on down, Aaron. Drum roll, please.
Come on, Aaron. We want to hear this.
Come on, Aaron.
A piece of his mind that I'm not being fair to Al. I could sit there criticizing almost anybody.
Wait, is he jumping on?
I'm giving him the chance. I don't know if he will.
Who wants to bet $1 he won't come? Any takers?
Give me 2-1 odds. No, give me 5-1 odds, man.
Gotta get my soundboard ready for this.
25-1, he doesn't come on.
My soundboard.
All right, so I put up 25 cents and you put up $25.
All right, is that no? That's Michael. Michael, what the fuck?
What? Oh,
that's Michael. Michael, we're waiting for Aaron.
Yeah, man. Let's see if Aaron comes on.
My fault.
Aaron, where you at?
Oh, is it full? Is it full? It's full.
Yeah,
It's full
like
because
10
Michael
people up
jumped
here.
on.
But it's just that look, the Heyman thing is like what I see that people want is they want him to be treated as if he's Dr. Martin Luther Heyman. That's how that's the lens that they want. I just view him as another boxing guy, and I view everybody in boxing as more or less being a crook, more or less. Or at minimum, it's a business where you kind of have to be slimy to a degree. All right, is that him? All right, there you go. All right, you tell me, bro. What's your issue, Aaron? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Urkel's here. Urkel's here.
What the hell is he saying?
I don't know. Let him finish.
Oh, wait. What was I supposed to say?
All right, what's your gripe?
I mean, the thing is that when I saw the recent interview, Eddie Hearn was talking about replacements for Canelo Alvarez. Now that Canelo Alvarez has moved over to PBC, he was talking about Berlanga versus Triple G in order to entice Canelo, in order to bring him over to make another fight, probably in 2025. And so I'm thinking, if that is the best that you have, then what does that say about the future of the zone for boxing?
Not much, because you're talking about Edgar Berlanga, who fought yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
Wasn't that why he mentioned him? Because he was literally at Edgar's fight, and Edgar had just fought, and I don't know about Canelo, because I've never heard Canelo make any mention of fighting Edgar Berlanga or Eddie Reynoso. But we know that Eddie's mentioned it a number of times, so it's a fight that he wants to make.
Yeah.
How does that spell doom for DAZN?
It's just that he feels like he has to use Edgar Berlanga versus Triple G to build Berlanga's profile in order to entice Canelo, in order to make a fight and bring him back over to DAZN.
That's a pretty common sense way to go about building a fighter. You make him fight a former champion who used to have a name. That's actually normal.
Is that enough?
Not enough for what?
Is that enough to bring Canelo back?
Well, we know that Canelo's going to be with the PBC for at least 3 fights. Will he come back? I don't know, because that's 2025. There's a lot of room. There's a lot of things. But I don't see how that means that, because I read what you were saying. You said DAZN is leaving boxing. I have a question.
Okay.
Did DAZN have 2 waves of layoffs like Showtime?
No, I think they lost $2 billion, and then they had another and then they had the company. Well, the company that's associated with it injects another, what is it, $4.5 billion into it to keep it going.
Comparing one at a time. You're comparing Len Blavatnik, who's backing DAZN, recapitalizing, to Showtime being absorbed by Paramount. How is that the same thing?
If you lose $2 billion and you have to look for more money from somewhere else to inject into DAZN.
Well, okay, now once again, you're being disingenuous. They didn't go look somewhere else for the money. Len Blavatnik, who's been DAZN's backer, invested more money based on projections that they would start making money, yada, 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 yada. How is that the same as Showtime declining subscribers and declining viewership, being merged into, essentially bailed out by Paramount?
Okay, so it's like, let's just say you have a major company like, say, Viacom. Viacom's a major company, and they have minor companies underneath them. Let's just say one of those companies underneath them is not doing so well. Like, they lost $2 billion, but you want to keep it moving because you see a certain, you see potential in that company if you just keep it going. I believe that's the reason why they injected the money into it.
Who is they? There's one person, Len Blavatnik.
The one person who did it. But the thing is that he runs a major company that is associated with the zone as like being underneath it. It's like what is it called? A subsidiary or something like that. It's a company that's underneath it. So he felt like, okay, if I inject money into the zone, I could keep it going because I see potential in the zone. But I believe that potential was in Canelo Alvarez.
So you think the fate of an entire platform that doesn't just show boxing, it was all on Canelo? That's what you're saying, right?
Talking about the zone. I was talking about the zone boxing the whole entire time. I don't know why people are trying to make it seem like I was talking about the zone.
All right, you said then you said that the zone boxing. You said the zone is going to leave boxing based on Canelo not being there. I saw that. I saw that in the comments. You're saying they're going to leave boxing.
I believe that. Yes.
Based on him not being there.
Based
all
on.
Right. Well, here's my retort. If Showtime, who was and still is in more jeopardy of leaving boxing than DAZN is, if they didn't end up leaving boxing, why would DAZN?
I feel like DAZN's whole reason why they created DAZN was they tried to bring in other fighters, but one of their main objectives was to capture Canelo and form a stable around Canelo. And that was that's why they had people like they formed a stable with Jacobs, etc.
Jacobs was already there before Canelo. He was
Jules,
literally one of the first.
Aaron, I got one question for you.
Okay.
With the recapitalization, was that solely for boxing, or was it because they were also expanding into many other sports aside from boxing?
No,
I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
$2 billion is not from boxing. Actually, it's the rights to all these other sports. They got the NFL rights. They got plenty of rights. They spend billions on rights to have content to be able to show them. So it's way deeper than boxing.
That's what I was going to say.
Loss.
That's what I was going to try to say. That the $2 billion for starters.
I don't know who that guy's talking to. But I was
either way. What I was going to say was that the $2 billion that they quote unquote lost, that was a calculated loss. Calculated, meaning they knew that. Let me finish. It was a calculated loss because one, it's not all boxing. They were buying the rights to different sports in different territories around the world. It was a loss that they knew they were going to take. That's why Len Blavatnik, that's a part, that and market growth, that they were having growth in markets. It's 2-minute read, maybe 3 minutes, that things that they saw a profit margin coming in for this year. They knew they were going to take losses the first couple of years upon DAZN's breaking into America. But these are calculated losses, which is why he was willing to recapitalize. In focusing on boxing, I don't see where Canelo leaving to go to the PBC means what they're not going to have Matchroom anymore.
No, well, I just feel
Anthony Joshua.
The whole entire concept of the zone boxing was based around Canelo being there, and I felt that's also the reasons why Eddie Hearn got the extension was to keep Canelo on the platform.
No.
And that's the reason why they so brought in the zone pay-per-view. They bought the pay-per-view in order to keep Canelo and to bring in Anthony Joshua.
No. The reason for the financial injection, was to acquire more acquisitions in other areas of sporting. Now they don't just have boxing; they have a lot of sporting, and they're a global network. Meaning they have soccer, they have rugby, they have a lot of other acquisitions to do besides boxing. Now, I'd rather be a company that has an injection from a longtime investor than a company being acquired by another company, and then you lose all your proprietary rights. Like such as you lose the rights, and you lose the royalties of old boxing shows, of old boxing matches, of a lot of fights that already happened. and you don't get royalties when those fights air anymore. You lose a lot. So I'd rather be in the shoes of Eddie Hearn, associated with a company that has financial backing.
I mean, honestly, it's obvious. It's like
willing to acquire more assets.
I mean, it's obvious that a merger, if you ever worked for a company that was going through a merger and you had to be there for the downsizing, no, it's not good. That was the red flag for me, that I worked for a company that went through a merger. I watched upper level management get eventually phased out, and it trickled down wave of layoff after layoff after layoff until only a few people were left. And when you see that, okay, you know, they're the higher ups like Michael McCarthy and Bob Backish, and they're talking about all this stuff, and they're talking about reallocating resources away from anything that accounts to less than 10% of their overall viewership. You know that they're talking about stuff like boxing. Boxing accounts for very little in terms of viewership for the Showtime platform, and that HBO ended up leaving boxing eventually, and they were the gold standard for a very long time. But if HBO could leave, surely Showtime could end up in the same situation. Surely. That's not outside the realm of possibility, especially now when I remember 2 years ago, they were at 33 million subscribers. I checked back last year, they were at 27 million subscribers. I don't know where they are this year. I'm going to assume that, you know what, it probably went down. In all likelihood, it did. And that what we're seeing now, you know, this wave of fights that they're making, it's the last gasp to try to salvage boxing on Showtime, because it has to. I've been saying it all year. This is the year that Spence versus Crawford is going to happen, because it has to. It has to.
Like, I'll say this. I'll say two things, man. Canelo going to BBC is good for boxing. And the other one with the whole Eddie Hearn, Canelo, DAZN thing for you, Aaron, keep in mind, man, I don't care what promotional platform you are. Once you've had Canelo for 7 fights, it's not unique to try to get him to come back. He's the cash cow. So your company doesn't need to be failing for you to be like, because you got to remember, DAZN is successful, but Hearn still has bosses that are looking at him like, so when you get Canelo back, bro? It's still like,
no, I would say the opposite, actually.
Feeling to want him back, though.
If you saw the interview that he did, they didn't make a play to try to keep Canelo. They know they don't have any fights for him. And the alternative would be, okay, well, let's make a play to try to bring over some PBC fighters. But for what? That's going to be expensive for us. Let Canelo go. Let him go. We don't have to make a play for him.
It's a total risk analysis. A lot of companies do this. They have to risk what they're going to lose versus what they're going to profit from. And if the risk is not worth the reward, they let the people go, or they do payouts, or they settle out of court. A lot of companies, it's all about risk analysis and what you're going to pay out versus what you're going to make. And in the long run, DAZN's going to be okay without Canelo, but in the long run, PBC will not be okay without Canelo. I mean, and what you were describing earlier, for the gentleman that's calling in, for what you were describing earlier, that DAZN needs Canelo, I think PBC needs Canelo, because they're not acquiring anything else. Exactly. They don't have the money, and they don't have the capital to acquire anything else besides boxing. They're limited to one sport that's doing very poorly on the Showtime platform, and eventually is going to show poor numbers. Maybe by the end of the year, the numbers will have an uptick just because of the best fights that they're going to have this year. But I don't think it'll be enough. And they might go to like 2%, 3%, maybe. They're not going to go to 10%, my friend.
I think the zone needs Canelo as well, because I just
explained to you why they don't.
Oh no, you didn't explain to me why they don't.
I did explain to you, because they're making acquisitions in other areas of sporting. Boxing isn't the only sport in the world. There are other sporting
events. His whole point sounds a lot like without Canelo. His whole point seems to sound like without Canelo, that I guess Matchroom, and I'm going to focus on Matchroom. I can't begin how inaccurate what he's saying is when DAZN has actually picked up Canadian rights to a Canadian outfit. I was watching it on Saturday. They're only growing, but in his mind, it's just all about Canelo. So let's focus on Canelo, because Matchroom doesn't have an entire stable of fighters from all around the world without Canelo, right?
So I was talking about them just dropping. You could drop Matchroom if they don't have Canelo, even though you have a whole entire stable of fighters. You can have a whole entire stable of fighters, but the zone doesn't see you bringing in the same amount of money that they thought you were going to bring in when they initially did the contract.
And you can drop Showtime because they don't have the stable of fighters without Canelo.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
for
your
sure.
logic. This is the thing. Your logic is too linear. Here is reality. Here is not opinion, just fact.
Okay.
At least for the next 3 years, at minimum, boxing on DAZN stays at minimum. But it's not a guarantee that boxing on Showtime stays for the next 3 years. It's not. It's actually only through next year, and then we'll see what Bob Backish and Paramount. I don't know what they're going to do. I literally don't know. But what I do know is for the next 3 years, boxing on DAZN is secured because they just signed a 3-year extension for Matchroom. Boxing on Showtime, that's in the air. We don't know that.
At least 2. They got Canelo. At least 2.
Yeah, at least through 2024, but we knew that already. That was already the situation before they got Canelo. The question was, and it's always been, beyond next year, are they still going to be in boxing?
Till the end of 2024. I already know it's till the end of 2024 because they still have Canelo through the end of 2024. And the thing is that if you keep bringing in money for the Showtime execs, they're going to consider keeping boxing around for Showtime because you're making them money. On the flip side, when it comes to the zone, you're not making them money anymore. You're actually losing them money because they invested. The reason why they invested is because they thought that Eddie Hearn was going to keep Canelo.
I think you thought Eddie Hearn. I honestly think you thought Eddie Hearn was going to keep Canelo.
This kid's not listening, Julian. He's not listening.
I don't think he is.
You've already made the argument that the factual argument is that they're investing
I don't
in
see.
other sports.
Let me say this. I don't see Len Blavatnik at the Zone like I see Bob Backish at Paramount. I don't see Eddie Hearn on Matchroom the way I see Michael McCarthy at Showtime talking about downsizing, budget cuts, show cancellations, and
into the future.
What?
I was talking about going into the future. And
this all pertains to the future. I mean,
hey Jules, Rachel and Nonito says no one invests on a maybe for a ROI, just a FYI. They would know. They would know. They're in the business.
They would know. You know.
Okay, but wait. Why are we?
Canelo is going to leave. Is that what you're saying? No. Be real.
Why are we acting?
Take an economics course, bro.
So they knew Canelo
made that.
No.
With
Yo, this guy needs to stop. This guy needs to stop. Okay, so did they already know Canelo was going to leave? That's the assertion.
We had nothing for him.
Yeah, it was a distinct possibility that Canelo would leave. It was actually.
When they first gave when they gave Eddie Hearn, when they gave him the extension, how many years ago is that? Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, you're really lost in the sauce.
Wow.
The 3-year extension that Matchroom signed was like maybe I want to say a month, maybe less than a month ago.
When they
that's recent news that they signed another 3-year extension to stay on DAZN. I think that was maybe a month ago. I want to say it's recent news. That's fairly recent. That was this year. They signed another 3-year extension to stay on DAZN. So that's why I said that boxing on DAZN at least for the next 3 years by way of Matchroom. Boxing on now Golden Boy is a separate matter. I don't know what's going to happen with them. But I know that with Matchroom, for at least the next 3 years, there will be boxing on DAZN by way of Matchroom. Whereas with Showtime, no, it's not a guarantee that 3 years from now, PBC is going to be there. In fact, it's the opposite. There's reason to believe. It's not a guarantee, but there's reason to believe that boxing is in jeopardy. There's plenty of reason to believe. It's not complicated.
AKA PBC might end up being on DAZN one day.
Yeah, like maybe DAZN, maybe Peacock. You never know. Maybe Peacock, maybe Amazon. But there's reason enough to believe there that, yeah, they are on shaky ground. Why do we think they're on shaky ground? Because they fucking said so. Showtime said so.
Rachel Nonito says there's no guarantee for Canelo to go anywhere.
That's the other thing that with Canelo, like you're making it seem like DAZN's entire stake in the American market was centered around one fighter. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Bullshit, and that's bullshit.
How is that bullshit?
Because you don't know what he's gonna do. You don't have him pinned down. He was only working with her. Like you're acting like Matchroom and DAZN recently had Canelo tied down when they never did. What he did by choice. They didn't have him tied down. He always had the autonomy to go somewhere else. That's how he was able to go fight Caleb Plant in between the Saunders fight and the Bivol fight. He's always had that autonomy.
I mean, he's been a free agent for almost 3 years.
I work for Canelo. He said it himself. I work for him. He does what he wants.
Yeah.
That's common knowledge that if Canelo, if Canelo felt, in between, I don't know, the Golovkin fight, in between the Bivol fight and the Golovkin fight, if he felt, I want to go to Top Rank and beat somebody up at Top Rank, DAZN had no power to stop him. Neither did Matchroom.
They had no
he was
autonomy
not their
over him.
fighter.
They had no autonomy over him because he was a free agent. And when you're a free agent, that's why Crawford wanted that fight last year, because he had left Top Rank. He was a free agent. He's still a free agent.
So he's able to call his own shots.
Yeah, he's able to call his own shots. And I think that if you're a top level fighter, I don't mind this trend of being a free agent. I'd prefer it. I'd prefer it because then you can't blame anyone, nobody, for a fucking duck. You can't be a duck.
And then the promoters can't get in the way either.
Yeah, nobody's getting in the way of anything. You can negotiate your own salary. You can negotiate the percentage of the gate. You can negotiate the percentage of the pay-per-views, whatever you want. And if you're in demand, if you're a fighter in demand, you're going to be an asset to a company. This is what Al Heyman is looking at Canelo. He's looking at him as an asset. I don't think he's looking at him as just some guy coming on his platform wanting to fight some other guy. No, he's a fucking asset. He's going to bring a lot of money, and he's going to show.
Yeah, because the careers. I mean, if you think about it realistically, you could have made Andrade versus Charlo. That won't sell anything. Benavidez versus Morel, that won't sell anything. Individually, these fighters are not going to generate very much. But if you add Canelo to the equation, every single one of those equations, suddenly these guys are worth something, or at least those fights are worth something. But to me, what I see is, Showtime needed Canelo more than DAZN does by and large, because you have an entire stable of fighters that aren't going to generate much. You saw Benavidez versus Plant at the box office. Under 100,000 pay-per-view buys is the estimation. You put him out there with Morel, he's going to sell even less, because Morel is an even less known fighter than Plant is. Jermall, what money has he been making Showtime the last 2 years? He hasn't even fought. This was a career that is not generating any money for the PBC, any money for Showtime, but tack on Canelo, and now you're cooking with rice. What I see is Matchroom is fully capable of making fights for their fighters without Canelo, but Showtime and PBC, no, they needed Canelo. Because what are you going to do with these guys if you don't get him? What are you going to do? Hemorrhage money making fights that no one cares about?
I mean, they could do the normal thing and avoid each other until oblivion.
I mean, you literally have a fighter who's been sitting on the shelf approximately 2 years. What the hell? If Canelo don't go over there and you don't have this option to feed him to Canelo, what were you going to do? Were you going to make an Andrade fight that nobody's going to buy? And you telling me that they're not in a bad way? Canelo, to me, saved their ass. You should be thanking Canelo, Aaron. You should be thanking Canelo. That's what you should do.
I was going to ask him that question. If Canelo hadn't gone over there, what would Showtime have done?
That's a damn good question.
Is he still here?
What was
the question?
If
Canelo hadn't gone to Showtime, if Canelo didn't go to Showtime, what were they going to do with those fighters?
You see, that's what I meant by going into the future. The thing was that Showtime actually needed Canelo. I am not
saying.
What would they have done if Canelo had not signed to them? That's what I'm asking. So if they didn't get Canelo, what would Showtime have done?
No, the thing is that I'm literally agreeing with you guys when it came to that.
You are?
They were. I think that they're in jeopardy of cutting boxing for Showtime.
And I think they still are.
Hello. No,
I think they still are, because on the heels of a very big pay-per-view, people tend to forget that Golovkin versus Canelo, it wasn't that far off from Showtime's HBO's departure from boxing. Those two things were in proximity of each other, and HBO, even the cards that they were putting on regular HBO, they were bringing in better metrics then than Showtime's metrics are now. The Breakus versus what's her face, I know who it was. It was Breakus versus Kaylee Reese. That was 800,000 homes, over 800,000 homes for that fight. But they still ended up leaving boxing because the higher up saw, it's just, they felt it wasn't worth investing in anymore. And when I think about what Showtime's going through, I'm like, yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Bob Backish and the people at Paramount say, yeah, you had a nice little year, but what about all those other years where nothing was going on? The model is too unstable. It's too up and down for us. We want long-term sustainable viewership, and we all know that Showtime is more of a story-based network than it is a sports network. It's not fucking ESPN. It's not ProBox. It's not DAZN. Your average Showtime subscriber isn't there for boxing, and that's the jeopardy. That out of the 27 million, maybe less now, of the 27 million, most of that 27 million are not there for sports.
Right, they were there for that Bumblebee show or whatever the
weeds and all that yellow jackets.
Yellow jackets.
What the fuck they're there for? So what's the silver lining for Stefan Espinoza is that operational costs. Comparatively, boxing is cheaper than doing a TV show. It is cheaper, but in terms of sustained viewership and sustained subscribership, you don't actually get that with sports. The real appeal of sports is when they're happening in real time. And that's what you really need, that, okay, well, it's happening now, so we're getting this viewership now. Because in terms of replay value, not many people go back and rewatch a fight. That's actually just us boxing
exactly.
nerds.
You know what people rewatch? You know why they gave Canelo
TV shows.
They gave Canelo, I mean, they gave boxing the axe, even though Canelo did well with Triple G twice. But you know what made more money? Fucking Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones made way more money. Who are they going to invest in? Game of fucking Thrones.
Khaleesi and that blonde wig and them titties. It's beautiful, bro.
Bro,
The mother
all
of
of
dragons,
boxing's
bitch.
budget
The
went
mother
into
of
that
dragons.
last season of Game of Thrones, and it sucked.
It did suck, but not before they made their money. Not before they made their money.
Even though it sucked so bad, it made the Canelo versus Triple G made a fraction of what that made in the last season.
Exactly, and
it was just like
that's the lens that I look at the whole conversation in. That Showtime is not a sports network, so their focus is story-based programming for sustained viewership and sustained subscribers. Sports is kind of a pet project to them almost. And at a time where everything is changing, the way that people consume content is changing. It's more customized, less spillover. They're just trying to keep their heads above water. They're not going through a merger because of how fucking great they're doing. It's the opposite. With that, there is a chance that somebody upstairs might decide to phase out boxing. I'm not saying I hope they do that. I'm just saying, yeah, there's a chance.
oh yeah, there's a very good chance of that. I mean, we already saw it happen. It's a great chance.
That's my point of reference.
Even if it's prime. Go ahead.
They wouldn't be the first because HBO went by the wayside too. Even though they chose to do it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point is they went by the wayside.
Remember Friday Night Fights?
Yeah.
That went away.
I mean, I'll do you one better.
There was a lot of
WCW.
sponsorship, and you know who sponsored that? Commercials. Companies would sponsor that, but you know what they said? The ratings are not that great. Let's fucking hack it, and that's it. It was done.
My frame of reference is WCW in 2001 when they had the AOL merger.
Yeah.
And they didn't even look at it because they looked at it as a solvent because they weren't making any money.
Yeah. I mean, you have what I see is, and the other thing is, that the budget has progressively gone smaller when you see the number of fighters that are sitting on the shelf, the lack of fight dates last year. You look at the number of box office fights this year, and it's deceiving because you're essentially hoping that those fights pay for themselves. That's why they're box office. You're hoping that those fights pay for themselves and you can break even. and maybe even make some money. But what about the regular fights, the regular Showtime schedule? Showtime used to release a comprehensive schedule of fights in previous years, and they were all regular fights. They weren't pay-per-views. Most of them weren't pay-per-views. Now you don't get that. Now what you get is pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. Most of what we're talking about are pay-per-views. Hector Luis Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, Plant versus Benavidez, Spence versus Crawford, whatever Canelo ends up doing. These are all pay-per-views.
The only fight Davis had that was pay-per-view worthy because of the numbers was the Garcia fight, the Ryan Garcia.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
All the other fights could have just been regular shit, and you could have built a better following.
Or
but instead of trying to build a better following,
undercard.
you decided to squeeze everyone for every fucking penny they had, and alienated a whole group of people that watch fighting.
Listen, that's a two-pronged process, which is what I've always maintained. Why are ordinary fights ending up at the box office? Because the annual budget is shrinking. They don't have it in the budget to do these fights on the budget. So the best bet is to stick them on pay-per-view, hoping that the money will come from me and you. Because it ain't in the annual budget. That's shrinking.
That's what they said.
Jules, you ready for the testament?
They knew they were.
Check this out, guys. This is what's going on. This is what they're trying to do. This is what I see. This is my, my crystal ball. See, July 8th and July 15th are both important dates for them because those are their free Showtime shows, right? They got Frank Martin and Nonito fighting, right? They get at least 400, 500,000 viewers on that. They might be talking about something, but that's not a given. You got Boots running his own card, right? What's going to be the testament is what their August shows look like. If they have Ugas and Thurman fighting on regular Showtime, then they got more money in the bank than we think they do. If they put on pay-per-view, then you know what time it is.
And it's good that Ryan and Gervonta did what they did, because I firmly believe that we wouldn't be here now with Spence and Crawford if that wouldn't have been a success.
Yeah.
That helped. That helped. They're like, no, if we put the right fight together, we'll get something. But it took you long enough. How many fights did you not make?
Listen, when's the last time you saw a PBC fighter on a late night show? Interviewed at a late night show. When's the last time?
That's the thing, man.
Hold on, I'm asking a legitimate question, because when you see a fighter on a late night show, you know they're fucking huge. Andy Ruiz, when he beat Joshua, he was on every fucking late night.
Jimmy fucking Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, bro.
Yeah, he was on all these shows, and people wanted them. People want these guys on their show in the UK, and I know PBC people don't consider the UK anything, but Anthony Joshua's on these fucking shows all the time. He's a huge draw over there. DAZN's going to be fine because they've got.
I mean, that's the point out. Look, Ellie Scottney was on Sky Sports. Bear in mind, Ellie Scottney fights on DAZN. She was literally on Sky Sports recently for becoming IBF champion, woman boxer. That's the kind of exposure that DAZN has. That's why I'm like, I don't know where people get that DAZN is in a bad way because of this or because of that. And it's like they refuse to see, like Aaron, that DAZN is only growing. They're only growing. Showtime is shrinking.
You know why though, Jules? It's because they have an American viewpoint. They're not seeing the entire landscape. DAZN is putting in more work overseas, right? American fans don't give a damn about the overseas fighters, but it does matter to their bottom line and their overall scope of what they're doing. Us diehards pay more attention than some of these casuals do. But at the end of the day, they're not in a position where they have to have Canelo. They don't have to have Canelo, but they got to do something. They got to do, because they're not having the best year. They got to do something, but they don't have to have Canelo to survive.
But the other thing is that, I would say that this year they're not having the best year. I said that right now, PBC's on top as far as the biggest fights. The year is not over though, because if they do that Wilder versus Joshua fight, that is gonna be a motherfucker.
Isn't that gonna be a skill? That's gonna be a skills challenge with Matchroom.
With Matchroom though.
Rachel and Nonito were asking to get on, but I don't know if there's.
I'm gonna hop off and let them get on. I appreciate you, Jules.
No problem. I would say if they do Joshua versus Wilder towards the end of the year, that is that's not a big fight in America. That's a big fight on earth.
Yeah.
On fucking earth.
Yeah, you're gonna have the European market is gonna tune into that shit, and the American market is gonna tune into that shit. And those are the biggest markets. After that, you're gonna have the trickle down. Like you're gonna have the Saudis or whoever, especially if they do it in Saudi Arabia. If they do it there, it's gonna be
in Nigeria. In Nigeria, you know, Anthony's got a big following over there. I'm just telling you, there's a difference between a big American fight and a global event.
Global fight, yeah.
Ryan Garcia versus Javante, that's not global, that's domestic. It did great, and I'm not even knocking it. But do you think people in Eastern Europe and just all these places, you think they give a fuck about that shit?
No, hell no.
I don't care about that shit.
We couldn't even see it over here in the Philippines. You had to stream it.
That's what I'm saying. Shout out to Rachel Donaire. Travels the world, knows a thing or two about the business, knows a thing or two about world champions. There's a difference between a global event and a domestic event. Ryan Garcia versus Javante Davis, to me, was a schoolyard fight. That's like two young guys getting it on in the schoolyard. Whereas you have those other fights like the Thriller in Manila, you know, the Rumble in the Jungle, those kinds of fights that are worldwide events for the planet. And if, I don't know with any certainty, but if they get together for Joshua versus Wilder, bro, that's going to be I don't even know what to say, bro. There's nothing like two heavyweights fighting. There's absolutely nothing like it. That makes everything seem small. So just back to this Showtime conversation. It's very simple. The reason that I have said that boxing may be in jeopardy on Showtime is because of what Showtime themselves and their higher-ups have been saying. Irrespective of Stefan Espinoza, Stefan has to put on a brave face. He has to. But what I've been seeing, this Michael McCarthy stuff, what's this lady's name? I forgot her name. It hasn't been good. That's where the whole conversation came from Showtime themselves going through 2 waves of layoffs and talking about downsizing. That's where all of that came. And that is not happening at DAZN, but it has been happening at Showtime. So why would you assume, DAZN's going to leave boxing? They literally just signed a 3-year extension with Matchroom. No, they're not.
Julius, the other thing, why everyone forgets that this already happened? BBC was working with fucking Fox. Not anymore.
No recuerda, Leo. They was working with NBC. It's NBC, then Fox. No, NBC, then Spike, then Fox, and now they're down to Showtime. It's not wishing ill on them. It's just that it is a real situation that is happening. Like, this is going on. Like, I don't know what they're going to do beyond next year. I don't know what's going to happen.
And Fox is actually Fox Sports is actually a sports network, and they cut him out.
And they're a terrestrial net, like they're huge. And look, when I was saying, and this is why I don't really like getting into arguments with people. When I was saying, I literally said Fox is gonna leave boxing. They are. When I was saying that, I got a lot of flack for you're a hater. All right, bro. Now that they're gone, where are the people that were giving me flack?
Gone.
Where are they? Oh, you're a hater. You just hate. You be hating. All right. Well,
yelling from their mama's basement. Yeah.
No, Jules, it's the same people that, like, when we said, people were like, oh, do you think that the Ryan Garcia versus Tank is the best fight? And I was like, the best fight? What are you talking about? They're like, the best fight for boxing. I was like, it's the most popular one.
Exactly.
But we're not talking about talent versus talent. When you tell me the best fight, we would say Crawford versus Spence, but that hadn't been made yet. But you can't compare, and that's the problem, is that, like, with the popularity of boxing these days, like, the organizations still haven't figured out that we're in a whole different genre of how to promote fights, and they're not doing anything about it.
I agree. That just because Ryan and Javante are popular, one, that's not long-lasting success. That's one. Two, they're popular, mostly because of Ryan. I'm sorry to say, he's got 10 million Instagram followers. There is a glaring disparity between Javante Davis's buys with everybody else and him. Now, unless you're going to fight Ryan 3 and 4 more times, odds are that the sustainability of that number Not sustainable at all, bro. If you get out there in the fall and you fight Rolly again, Isaac again, ain't nobody gonna buy that shit. You nuts?
Nope.
Buy that shit.
Nobody want to see that.
They just watched Rolly rob a 40-year-old man. They just watched that. You fighting him again, it's not going to bring in no numbers. Now, the good fights, the ones that I would pay to see, let's say Devin Haney. You know, not that I think they're going to make a play for him because I don't think they are, but hypothetically speaking, if they did, will you do with Devin what you did with Ryan? Absolutely not, because Devin is not as popular as Ryan. And this is the lack of sustainability that I'm talking about. That, yeah, it's great that you did that with Ryan, but moving forward, long-term success, the well is a little bit dry. The silver lining now is, hey, you've got Canelo, 3-fight deal. That extends into the following year. So you have that working for you. The question is, will that be enough for the people at Paramount to say, no, let's keep boxing. Let's keep it. I don't know that. Only they know that. They the ones that make them decisions. But I know that HBO, which used to be a giant in this sport, they ended up leaving. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. And don't tell me that, you know, Aaron tried to tell me that, yeah, DAZN is not in a bad way like Showtime is in a bad way. Because Showtime isn't just in a bad way in terms of boxing. In terms of the platform itself, they're in a bad way. Not exclusive to boxing. That's why they canceled all those TV shows. They need to reallocate the resources, focus on what works.
Hey, Jules, the only way Tank makes big numbers again is if he fights like Haney or Shakur or somebody like that, you know?
Yeah, and those fights don't look to be happening. I would love for those to be the next couple of fights that happen, but those fights don't look to be happening. The whole thing, the whole conversation of DAZN and Showtime as a platform, not just exclusive to boxing, as a platform completely is in jeopardy. The reason I talk about it is because that pertains to boxing as well. If the platform is in jeopardy, then surely the content is in jeopardy. That's why I talk about it.
Is Aaron still on?
I think he's still there.
Yeah.
Aaron, you still there?
And the other thing, Julius, is look, you can say whatever about Eddie Hearn, but Eddie Hearn has something that other promoters don't have. That is Saudi money. He has the access to possibly one of the greatest sources of revenue in history, really. And
yeah, you know what? I had a question about that. Why haven't other promoters made a play for that? They wouldn't the Saudis welcome more boxing there?
I would say this. The reason that the other promoters don't make a play, and this pertains to the Tyson Fury fight, is the problem with accepting the Saudi money is you forfeit the rights to the show, and then they are in control of the show, and then they auction off the rights to the show, which could end up with the show being on your competitor's platform. So if Fury were to accept Saudi money to fight Usyk in Saudi, the issue for Bob and Frank is that Sky Sports may buy the rights to that fight from the Saudis. The issue is that in America, DAZN may buy the rights to that fight from the Saudis, or they might just get them by default because they do business together. They do. So that's why the smaller well, I don't want to downplay these guys, but that's the problem that they have, and that's the real reason I've always been skeptical of Fury fighting Usyk in Saudi, because Frank doesn't want the rights to that fight to go to his competitor. He wants to deliver that to BT. Bob wants to deliver that to ESPN. And if they can't, then they won't do it. They'd sooner put him in there with Francis Ngannou than let him fight on another platform.
All right. Well, that's a good clear. Thanks for clearing that up for me.
That's the main issue with that. Whereas Eddie, and this is why you got to give Eddie his props. Yeah. That didn't stop him from making Joshua versus Usyk 2 in the United Kingdom. The rights to that fight, they didn't even go to DAZN. They went to Sky. Sky bought them for $28 million. The UK rights to that show.
It seems like he's a lot more flexible to make things happen.
You gotta be in this. I mean, like you have to be in, and that's the thing. When you got these old dinosaurs like Bob and Frank, ask them old guys to be flexible. They'll throw their back out trying to be flexible, bro. They can't do it. You know what I mean? I feel like Showtime, they're doing good now. It's not that they're not, but they have a very I feel like they have a very old way of thinking. I don't understand. Like, there's a lot of things that I could nitpick that I'm like, you could have breathed new life into your content with a couple of female fighters. You actually could have did that, and they're not as expensive as your male fighters. Galvanize people, energize people, capture their imagination. You don't really like. It took you 5 years to do Crawford versus Spence. 5? Wow.
There's a kind of like a theory and I'm just thinking about in business terms that if I had a stable of guys, I would sacrifice all 20 guys to get one Canelo.
Thank you.
That's what I would do, but I don't know why they don't do that.
That's what I think they should have did with Benavidez.
They could have built a superstar already. You could have had 5 or 6 guys on the Forbes list right now.
Bro,
if Bob Arum and Al Heyman were to say, you know what, motherfuckers, fight. That's it. We're gonna put the best fights, and whichever you motherfuckers is Spartacus, that Spartacus is gonna fight the other Spartacus.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And I just don't understand what the fuck the hesitance is for that.
You got a fighter in David Benavidez that first became a champion in 2017. He's been in that division forever.
Long time.
Long time. And they had DeGale. They had Uskateki. They had Truax. It took them 4 years to make a Caleb Plant fight.
That's nonsense. That should have happened like 2 years ago.
Jermall Charlo moved up to middleweight in 2017. He's been there ever since. Hasn't moved up to 68. The logic that you're employing.
He should have already fought Triple G.
No, but the moment that you identified that, you know what, we're not going to be able to make the Triple G fight. There's no money in an Andrade fight. Oh, we're not going to get Canelo when we want to get Canelo. You need to move up. You need to fight David Benavidez. We need to get a star out of this. It's got to be sink or swim. Either you're going to sink or he's going to sink. One of you has to, because only the strongest survive. We can't coddle both of you. We're at a point where you have a middleweight champion that hasn't fought in over 2 years.
Instead,
that is coddling.
Instead, they decided to con all of us and build up these fake O's with shitty resumes. Without having him fight anybody. I mean, you know what? You know who's still a star? A guy with 2 losses and arguably a third.
And that's what drives the point home for me, that in the absence of Canelo Alvarez, if we just look at the trajectory of these careers, none of these guys turned out to be moneymakers. Not Jermall, not Demetrius, not David, not Caleb. The only thing that will add value to their careers is a guy that you didn't build up, that you didn't promote, the guy that your biggest supporters like to trash. He's all that's holding you up right now. Because if not for him, what the fuck were all those guys going to do? What? David Benavidez versus Cuban guy on pay-per-view. That was going to sell? Like it's a fucking joke. So I think Aaron, you should thank Canelo for saving the PBC. That's what I think. I think you owe him a debt of gratitude.
And Ryan too.
I actually made a comment a little while ago. Excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse from yesterday. I think, I don't know, like I had a sore throat because I keep drinking caffeine or whatever, and it makes my throat clog.
Well, we hope
I'll tell you what you do for that, Aaron. I'm not even joking, because I had a sore throat 2 days ago. I put about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic in my smoothies, in my protein shakes. Antibacterial. Fix you right up.
Oh shit.
I'm not joking either. It's good for a lot of things. It's good for. I do it for my blood, but
it's a blood purifier. A total blood purifier. By the way, Aaron, we understand you have your own view, and I mean we're not like trying to just crap on you. I mean, maybe now do you understand what we're saying a bit more?
Oh no! I've always understood your guys' viewpoint. I definitely have, but the disconnect that we had was that I thought that the zone boxing for the zone was Canelo or bust. That's the way I always viewed it. But I'm willing to see what happens now that Canelo's gone. I think that you guys are right, and I wasn't really looking at the zone being a world promotion when it comes to boxing as well. They promote around the world. They don't just have the United States. They also have. I don't actually.
Here's an example. Here's an example. Lee Wood just won a WBA title at featherweight, right? Now I know that many Americans probably don't care, and that's awesome. But the reality, Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington, that's a huge fight over there. That's a huge fight over there, and that's the zone.
It's funny because I actually called Mauricio. I called Mauricio Lara before. I called him the Mexican who they couldn't kill because every single time they had, I made a joke with Polo. I told him, "Hey man, how come every single time he beats one of these UK guys, they have to run it back?" Like I don't know. I just noticed it. It's like, hey, they have
I mean, here's the other thing about Mauricio Lara. If not for the rematch clauses, because people tend to look for a villain where there isn't one. Those rematch clauses, like look at the Warrington rematch, right? Didn't even last long. Didn't even really get to turn into a fight. But Mauricio got to make money. He got to make money.
Yeah.
If nothing else, he got to make money. And that's the benefit that, okay, you go in there with the guy and maybe you run it back, but at least you got to make money. The same applies to the Lee Wood fight. Yeah, you cold knocked him out. But at least you got to make money. Money that before that, you were not making in the United States. You weren't making anything in the United States.
Is Country on the panel?
I think he is.
I'm here.
So you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so I believe that it's mutual. I talked to him a little while ago on one of your videos, and I compared the Canelo Alvarez going to PBC as Alex Rodriguez going to the Yankees.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's the same concept where he said one hand washes the other. And it's definitely true. Canelo gets his money, his guaranteed money, while at the same time the PBC is saved for now. And so it's definitely one hand washes the other. Because just like I said before, I think that if the PBC had never signed Canelo, they were definitely, this looked like it could have been the last year because there's no guarantee for the future after this year. Like you have Spence Crawford, then what? You have all these fights lined up for this year, and then what? So it was important to at least show that you have something until the end of 2024.
Yeah, and I had heard rumors of Peacock. I had heard and they're rumors. I treat them as such, but I had heard rumors of shopping around. It's just, look, boxing is unstable right now due to piracy. I think mostly due to piracy, and it needs a bigger investment. But the investment that Showtime has had the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, and yes, COVID does have something to do with that. Also, it had everybody hard. You're not able to grow nothing, You're not really able to grow nothing in an environment like that. But when you see the Top Rank is still signing young fighters, for example, and when you see that the Zone is still signing young fighters, that tells me you're doing good because you're signing young fighters.
Top Rank. I actually had an ESPN subscription way before. I actually it's a confession. It's a confession. I told Polo this too. Showtime was not worth having a subscription for until this year. I actually bought it this year. Like this was like I didn't have it last year. I didn't have it any of the years prior.
And I'm thinking about canceling mine because most of the fights I want to see, I don't actually need a Showtime subscription for. They're all pay-per-views. If you think about it, it's cheaper for you in the year to not have a Showtime subscription because you don't need Showtime to buy Spence versus Crawford. You can buy it on pay-per-view.com. And that's the setup that they have, or some of the fights that end up on Fight. That, being real, you don't actually need to be subscribed to Showtime to buy the big fights that they're gonna make. A Showtime subscription annually is $120, but that's $120 on top of 80 for this and 80 for that and 80 for this and 80. Like, most of this shit. Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia, $80. Davis versus Ryan Garcia, $80. Plant versus Benavidez, $80. Spence versus Crawford, $80. Whatever the fuck Canelo ends up doing. That's fucking 5 times $80 on top of 120. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but that's what they're betting on. That, I mean, like, the whole like subscription based thing is hoping that you forgot and you just keep paying monthly.
I'm seriously considering canceling it because I'm like, there's not enough on the regular schedule for me. And that's the problem that I have with them. And that's how I know that the budget got smaller, because when Showtime, if you go back to 2020, 2019, 2018, they used to, at the beginning of the year, they used to show you a whole schedule of things. And they were all things on the regular schedule. They weren't pay-per-views, all things on the regular schedule. And they, they were doing that at Fox too. And you could see that, yeah, after COVID hit, everybody's pockets got tight. Everybody was strapped for cash. They
I was wondering about that because I stopped seeing any like scheduled events happening. I see Matchroom having scheduled fights like all the time, but I don't really see that with I at least haven't seen it with Showtime in a while. Only the pay-per-view stuff.
Yeah, it's not the comprehensive schedule that it was.
And during that COVID, DAZN, Matchroom and Canelo broke an indoor record.
Literally. Like, now I see that, like, yesterday's main event, which was actually a good fight. It was better than the Berlanga fight. Adames versus Williams was a very good fight. But y'all know, you don't gotta break the bank to get Carlos Adames in the ring. You feel me? You don't gotta break the bank to get Julian Williams in the ring. The Argentinian super flyweight champion, I believe he is, the IBF champion. He's not a guy that costs a lot of money, but a guy like Jamal and a guy like Jermel, yeah, you got to pay them more. And these are the guys that's on the show.
Hey, I had a question also about just the ESPN platform, because I did notice that I stepped away from boxing for a little while. I was, just more into MMA. And then, I don't know, maybe when the Golovkin fight and all that happened, I kind of came back. But I noticed that in ESPN, boxing was a little bit more, I guess, I don't know. It looked like you could find it easier. Now when you go on the platform, it's hard to find. They don't have, they have that little MMA glove, the little baseball, bat and everything. And you have to search for the boxing icon.
Yeah. They don't make it easy for you.
I hate the ESPN Plus app. I really do.
Well, look, that's the one gripe I have. Do I like the app? Actually, yes. I get to go back and watch all the shit I bought as many times as I want.
Right.
So I actually like the app, and they have a archive. They have a big archive of fights. If you're a content creator, wait. If you're a content creator, Top Rank is doing something that nobody else is doing. They're releasing footage of fights, the content creators, so that you can use it without getting copyright strikes. So I believe that. I don't know. I just think that's Todd Dubois or those guys, because you got to realize we're your promoter. We're the promoter to the promoter. Yeah, we talk about your fights day in, day out, spreading that exposure. And it's actually easier for us to help get that more exposure if you don't copyright us. We're not trying to steal fights from you. We're not. We just, want to have something to show. Like, I got to get creative with the shit. Like, I got to turn shit into stickers, or I got to get footage from the arena, because if you use any footage from a broadcast, you're getting a copyright strike. Shout out to Top Rank for that.
Yeah.
Good to know, man. I didn't know that at all.
But I just wanted to reiterate. It's like, look, I like the content. It's just the interface that just makes it difficult for me to navigate it, and it buffers.
Yeah, that I don't like. That sometimes it
Oh,
buffers.
Jules, I forgot to tell you. What fight was it? Oh, Taylor versus. Okay, so Garcia, versus Tang. It wasn't shown here. We had to find a stream. I'm sorry. Here, I'm in the U.S. now. It wasn't shown in the Philippines. But Top Rank did something interesting for the Josh Taylor versus Teofimo. What they did is, I think they were trying to test market this, but it was on YouTube for free for Philippines and I think Germany.
Oh, cool.
So we got to see the Teofimo fight in Taylor without trying to have to find a link because it wasn't on regular network air. Like there was no pay-per-view option. There was nothing. Of
And
course,
what did the metrics look like for that on YouTube?
It wasn't that. It was like probably, I thought the highest that I saw was like around 30 or 40,000 watching
Yeah,
at the same time.
then that's not. Yeah, like what that is that a broadcast partner in that region of the world or those regions of the world are not going to give them a big chunk of cash because the audience for it in that region of the world is not big enough. So all they can do is show it to anybody who's interested on YouTube and maybe get some residual ad revenue that way, because if they felt that 500,000 Germans wanted to see that fight, okay, you could probably get a nice fee for that, a rights fee. Like, hey, people are interested in this fight. What are you willing to give us for it? Like with Joshua and Klitschko here in America, both Showtime and HBO ended up giving Matchroom $1 million a piece to be able to show that fight in America because they knew there are Americans that are interested in this fight. Whereas with Taylor and Lopez, say Germany, there's not that many Germans interested in them guys.
Yeah, same in the Philippines. Like, they were more interested in Tang. And then, of course, like this past weekend with Jade Bernay, Fernando Martinez, and Ancajas. But besides that, like, they watched the Ioka and Franco fight. Like, they weren't really
that was a good fight.
The Tio. Which one? The Ioka Franco? I didn't watch it yet.
I watched it. It's Ioka. I like Ioka, man. He's not the flashiest, but he's good at what he does. He's not the flashiest guy, not the most athletic guy, but he's good at what he does and he's surgical. Like you don't have to look for his work. It's easy to see. And I think his poise almost works against him sometimes because he's very patient and it's easy for him to look like he's getting out work when he's just catching and shooting. Just catching, and he get some shits in there. He's a good fighter, man. He's a very good fighter. I don't know what he's gonna do now, though.
He retired, Franco.
Yeah, man. Franco's younger than him too, man. Franco's on 27?
Yeah, and he said he's done mental health. It's interesting how this is a thing now. Not like it's never been a thing, but just a lot more boxers are saying it.
It's weird. Boxing is a thing now. Yeah.
Boxing is a very like just outside looking in, it looks like a very difficult job, right? And I just don't feel that this generation of guys in their 20s and 30s, I just don't feel they got the grit that their fathers had, like that of the previous era. Because keep hearing about mental health, and I'm like, yeah, everybody's got problems though.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with just with like you were saying, the grit, but also because of the distractions of this generation. Like when we were all growing up, you went to the gym, you maybe made it in time home for Friday TV night, maybe Saturday morning your ass had to get up, put on their sneakers and go for a fucking run, so you weren't watching Saturday cartoons, but now they have so much stuff to distract that they feel like they're missing out, they're getting FOMO and they don't know
other forms of revenue.
Yeah, I mean it's different. I mean the amount of shit. Did I tell you what the fuck happened to me?
What happened?
So I don't know if you saw, but Nonito posted on Beyond the Ring that he's like, oh, in hindsight, I wish I didn't separate from you before your birthday. So on the 18th of June, we left the Philippines. Okay, we went to sleep. 15 hours later, we woke up and we went back to the Philippines.
What?
Yeah, they put us on a flight. We flew 5 hours. 5 hours into the flight, someone had a medical emergency. We had to stop in Korea. We stopped in Korea for 5 hours. And then they said San Francisco couldn't take us for immigration, so we had to fly back to Manila.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And then I put
That's
Nonito.
wild.
Those are one of those YouTube story or Yahoo stories that you're like, that never happens. It fucking happened to us. I was fucking livid. And then I put Nonito on a flight less than 12 hours after that. I'm like, go. I'm like, go. You have sparring, you have your medicals, everything's scheduled. You need to go. Just go. And he's like, what about you and the boys? I was like, I'll figure it out. I didn't get out till June 23rd. I just got here to Arizona. I'm in Arizona now. But I had to take the boys by myself.
Bruh, that's some nightmare shit, man.
Yeah.
Some nightmare shit. But hey, you here now, man. Here now. Shit.
True.
Shit is crazy. I've never flown. You know that, right? I've never flown.
What? Ever?
Yeah, ever.
You're lying.
I'm dead ass. Everywhere I've been by bus.
No.
That's
Dead
crazy,
ass.
dude.
Get the fuck out of here.
Bro, I fell asleep and woke up in Canada once.
So how does
Really
it work?
nice.
With the, hey, how does it work with the spaceships, bro? So that's y'all don't fly. You just
No. Well, spaceships aren't flying through air. It's anti-gravity. That's not flying. That's manipulating the magnetic field of the planet. That's not actually flight.
I'll give you that one. You are correct.
I'm alien, bro. I'm alien. I'm trying to tell you.
I've never been on a plane either, bro. I've never flown.
Jules will be on either a spaceship or that stupid one that went down in the submarine.
Yeah, I was about to say the Ocean Gate. That's how. Hey, that's how he gets around and shit. He had a little Ocean Gate.
Yeah, I've been to plane trace and automobiles.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought you had a teleporter, Joe.
spaceships manipulate the magnetic field of the planet, so it only appears to be moving through the air. In reality, it's not actually using the air; it's using the magnetic field. Thus, it appears like flight. Aliens 101.
Yeah, it creates anti-gravity, so in any direction it moves, it's essentially falling as fast as it possibly can.
That is why it is able to cut very sharp right angles in the air, the way an airplane cannot, because an airplane is gliding through the air. I'm making this shit sound serious as shit too. Somebody gonna tune in. What the fuck you talking about? What he saying? Fuck shit.
Hey,
Yeah,
when the kids do space stuff, I'm gonna have them call you so then you can help them write their thesis.
I love space, man. That's one of my favorite subjects. Well, in general, just that stuff up there.
Astrophysics, the cosmos, I'm all in.
Yeah, I just think that, you know what I honestly think, bro? That we're just like dust particles on God's couch. Think about space and what it resembles.
On the scale, yeah, you're not. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I think we're dust particles on God's couch. You know, it wouldn't surprise me. In any event, my eyes are full of chlorine, so I'm gonna go to sleep. My eyes are really foggy.
Night, everybody.
The
Night,
Milky Way
everybody.
is not a marble.
Peace out, deuces. Aaron, welcome again, man.
Hey, you
Anytime.
did a good job, Aaron. You carried yourself well, man. Appreciate that.
You're always welcome, brother. Anytime, man.
Thank you.
Bye, New Country.
Bye, Rachel. Have a good one. Tell Nonito hello for me. Have a good night.
I will. You too. Bye.